happy souls, welcome back to my channel. This is Charlotte with Happy Twins 1111, and today we're asking, what do you need to know the most right now? These are the messages that you really need to hear right now. We're asking Spirit to really bring to your attention whatever's going to be the most impactful, whatever's going to help you the most move along your highest potential timeline. We've got 4 piles to choose from, and this beautiful autumn vibe with autumn themed decks as well. Autumn is the time of year when the days and nights are kind of equally balanced. It starts to tilt further into the dark as we get deeper into autumn, but the autumn equinox, which has just passed, that moment of absolute balance of our yin yang, light and dark aspect, offers us a moment of clarity where, for self-reflection. So I'm hoping this reading will be really supportive in bringing to your awareness whatever you need to know the most right now in that respect. From that point of balance and clarity, what can you observe before you're ready to transform during the winter period? So 4 piles to choose from as usual, and just to reassure you, no foxes were harmed in the creation of this grid. This grid, or rather the fox skull that's within it, I found as an entire skeleton on the property where I lived before, and I kept this part. But it brings all that fox wisdom into the reading today. I'm loving my new autumn grid. If you want to see last year's, you can find it on my Instagram at happysouls1111. But let's crack on with your piles. In pile 1, we do indeed have fox energy and nephrite jade. And for this pile, we'll be using this super cute deck. This is the Forest of Enchantment Tarot. And for pile number 2, you've got the bear, petrified wood, such gentle energy. And for this pile, we are using the Wildwood Tarot. Can you see the theme here? Yes, all the decks are woodlandy and cute. We've got the Modern Spellcasters Tarot for pile 3, which is the crow and this beautiful yellow calcite. And finally, for pile 4 with the wolf, and I have to be honest, this unknown stone. I'm not sure what it is, but it feels very dense, very secure. It's like a sturdy grounding energy. And this is the Witch's Wisdom Tarot. So take your time choosing. Remember, there is no right or wrong way. You can just see what you're drawn to the most. If you're drawn to more than one, it means there's messages in more than one. So go ahead and find the timestamps in the description box below, and I will see you at your pile. Hello, pile 1. Welcome to your reading. You have chosen the fox, the nephrite jade, and the Forest of Enchantment Tarot. And today we're asking for the messages you need the most right now. What do you need to hear that's going to help you move along your highest potential timeline? What's going to help you for the highest good? It's not the messages you want or the messages you think you need to hear. It's what you really, really need at this moment in time. And this is such a great time to ask such a deep question and to give your spirit guides permission to bring it forward. Autumn's all about self-reflection, the clarity that balance within us brings as the seasons start to balance themselves out, ready for transformation and then the rebirth next spring. And fox energy is so big at the moment. I work with fox energy very closely. That's why I've got this lovely skull. I keep chickens where my house is, and the fox could easily come and eat them, but they don't. Because me and the fox, we do magic together. We're friends. So this is such a beautiful energy that you've chosen, and one that's really close to me, and I'm excited to read for you. Now, we're going to be getting all the nitty-gritty details. We're using the oracle cards, we're using the charms, and there will be an extended reading for you today. So if this resonates, you can always find a link to that down below. Let's give these a good shuffle. And while I'm shuffling, remember to take a nice long deep breath. Just set the intention that you are ready and willing to receive the messages you need the most. Ask the universe for a sign. Just something to help you understand that you are seen and heard, to trust in yourself, your own inner wisdom and truth. Remember, a sign can be anything. An animal, an object, something from nature, a place, a sequence of numbers, a name. There's no right or wrong. Whatever pops into your head, let's do this, part 1. We're using oracle cards that have all got this autumn theme as well. I'm so excited to do this. Right. What do you need to know? First card out is the Wheel of Fortune. And that's interesting because we're in a number 10 month as well. 10's all about cycles, you know, ending cycles and new cycles. The 9 of Swords in reverse. The 10 of Cups, beautiful energy. The 8 of Boons. Let me just remind myself, I've written these down. Boons is Pentacles. Hard to remember with the new deck. I don't use this one often enough for it to have stuck yet. Keeper of Challenges, that's the King of Swords in reverse. Let's clarify these. So clarifying the Wheel of Fortune, we've got the Keeper of Visions, so that's the King of Wands. I beg your pardon, it's the King of Cups. I was just checking my list. King of Cups. Right. 9 of Swords in reverse is being clarified by the Page of Cups in reverse. 10 of Cups is clarified by the 5 of Cups. The 8 of Wands, Boons or Pentacles, isn't it? 8 of Pentacles is clarified. That's the Devil. It's the Devil in reverse. And the King of Swords in reverse is clarified by the Queen of Wands in reverse. Okay. Right. From this deck, this is the Illustrated Bestiary. Free your inner fire, pileated woodpecker. I think that's how you say it. Align your inner compass, common raven. And from the Angels and Ancestors deck, Lady, enjoy growth and reap rewards. Hunter, track down your fears and desires. I love that we've got that masculine feminine aspect there when we're talking about autumn and that balance. Shaolin Master, be graceful in movement and action. One more. Broken Arrow, embrace the energy of peace. Okay. So let's start with Fox, pile 1. Fox is about strategy. It's such a strong, self-sufficient, keenly intelligent creature. And I really feel like the fact it's looking over here to the right, almost observing itself, you know, in the grid, I feel that's significant somehow, looking to nature, looking to unity, connectedness, recognizing the resources available to you and how beautiful nature can work for you when you're aligned with its energy. And I really feel that with the Lady and the Hunter as well. Again, that balance of masculine and feminine energy that's coming through this for you. When we start with the Wheel of Fortune, though, clarified by the King of Cups, the Wheel of Fortune being in reverse reveals an energy of resistance, a fear of ending cycles and starting new ones. And so the spiraling fashion of this, which shows up again here in this woodpecker card, really makes me feel like you are lost in the momentum of going around in circles. You know, when you're like in a whirlpool of energy and you can't see what's going on, you don't have time, everything's happened so quickly. It's the energy of autopilot. And when we're shifting, we're being shifted out of that autopilot thing. So we start downloading, you know, little questions drop in and we dismiss them if we don't take time to observe them. When we're spiraling, there's lots of confusion. And if you don't slow down long enough to pay attention, you can miss it. And it just feels like you end up feeling chaotic, disassociated, disillusioned. What's happening? What's ending? Everything's going off at once. It can feel like a total breakdown of every area of your life, but in reality, you're like in an accelerated pace of energetic movement because everything is beginning to transform. And you still have an opportunity through this twist and turn to observe. And remember, what you observe on, what you lean into, the wheel, think of it as magnetic. It's going to slow down where the strongest magnetic current is. But that magnetic current is created by your thoughts, your beliefs, and your intentions. And unless you're conscious of what that magnetic thought's going to be, you know, you're cycling into a period of change that's unconscious, that perhaps wasn't of your choosing, that perhaps is fear-based, because we see the 9 of Swords here in reverse. This is not having awareness of what is even making you anxious or stressing you out. And I'm literally hearing you walking around going, I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know why it's like this. Why is this happening? Why is that happening? Why? You know, so confused as to why everything's so challenging right now. And it's called the 9 of Challenges in reverse. 9 in reverse is that hermit energy, but it's a lack of self-awareness. It's a lack of focus on self, a lack of leaning into self. So we're seeing this huge energetic momentum, which I think is in part seasonal. It won't be for all of you, because not all of you will be in autumn, but it feels like, you know, a period of time that comes around, like an energetic opportunity for growth. And you're just kind of spiraling in it. Remember, spiraling, it feels like you're going around in circles. But each time, the stronger your awareness, the more that magnetic pull, the bigger the expansion. So, actually making myself dizzy, turning round. Free your inner fire. You know, you're being like, look how deliberate the woodpecker is. It's hitting the spot, not beside it, not below it, but on the spot again and again and again. Intention, tap, 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 right on the point I want, right where I'm delivering the energy. You know, this is what you need to be getting into now, Part 1. You are being asked to focus, to slow down so you can observe that movement. Yes, there's a lot going on at once, but you need to give yourself the time and space to observe them from that point of stillness and clarity, to acknowledge your fears and your shadow aspects. You know, you have a high degree of emotional intelligence, but you can also get caught up in the current. You know, I believe this is a salmon. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm guessing. And salmon, in fact, I'm going to check the book. What is it? It's the king of, let's see if it's meant to be a salmon. I'm really curious now. Keeper of Boons, Keeper of Visions, there he is. Shape-shifting wizard whose Piscine aspect embodies ancient salmon wisdom. There we go, beautiful. So salmon, when it's determined enough, can swim upstream. It can go against the current. When its instinct, its desire, its intention is powerful enough, a salmon can swim so strongly, so powerfully through water, which represents the emotional body, to get where it needs to go, despite the flow being against it. You know, this reminds you that you have all the emotional power and control, more than you would believe, to get through this. You know, and I'm guided to remind you of this, because probably when I was saying it's going round and round and you just need to pause long enough, and what I'm hearing is I'm trying to, you don't understand, it's so much chaos, I'm everywhere. You know, it's such a like anxious, frustrated, but jittery energy. It's fractious, it's, what's the word? It's just a vigorous energy. No wonder, you know, that you're spiraling so fast. If you were moving in a whirlpool and you surrendered to it and you flowed with it, you know, it wouldn't be nearly as stressful, because you're working with the current, using it to your advantage, just like salmon would. You know, you can do this. You can hit that spot. You spent such a long time learning about manifestation, and everything is about to move to where you want it. I know it doesn't feel like that. I know it feels like it's in chaos, but we've got the 10 of Cups here. Front and center, we've got the 10 of Cups. We've got moving out of a grief cycle. And I want to remind you that the progression of that, the progression of moving out of a grief cycle, is the 6 of Cups, which is into healthy relationship energy, into the energy that is an invite to love. Now, this 5 of Cups is super interesting because it features the princess and the frog. And if you don't know that story, I encourage you to go and watch it. But in essence, you know, she meets this frog serendipitously when she drops her ball in the water. And you all know the story of the kissing the frog, right? It's such a cliche in relationships. I've kissed too many frogs. You will keep kissing frogs because no one is perfect. We all have like frog energy, okay? Frogs are about renewal, and we do literally metamorphosize throughout our life. People don't stay the same, but we grow through the energy of challenge. And in relationships, we challenge one another, and challenging one another allows us to grow. So this isn't about meeting someone perfect, your dream man, your dream woman, the so-called proverbial Mr. or Mrs. Right. You know, it's the Mr. or Mrs. Right for you. So you are also being asked to be more realistic about expectations you're not observing, because we've got Page of Cups in reverse here. That's an inner child that still isn't balanced. And when we have an unbalanced inner child, no matter our emotional intelligence and power, our trigger points and how we interact in relationships are going to be relative to this kid right here, the kid in you that was neglected, that wasn't emotionally nourished in the way that you needed. This is what makes you so tough in many ways. This is why you're like, stuff the shadows, I'm going to keep marching. And, you know, because you go through life at 1,000,000 miles an hour trying to conquer it, because you have so much drive and fierceness and determination, you don't slow down. You don't slow down to recognize there's a kid behind you going, oh, please keep up. I feel absolutely rotten. I'm really struggling. No one's giving me a pat on the back. No one's asked me if I'm okay. You know, I don't feel loved. I don't feel heard. I don't feel valued. I feel taken advantage of. And there's so much here that you're avoiding. So much. You need to slow down. The relationship you want is on the horizon. We've got unicorn energy here. It's something magical. This is a family unity. You know, this is a beautiful energy. But you do have to remember that your tick box list of it's got to be like this and this person's got to be like that and they need to be like this and they need to be like that. You're really manifesting from the entirely wrong perspective. Instead of trying to manifest those things, try and lean into how that will feel, and then ask what you're really manifesting. Then you're going to get to your truest intention, and you're going to give the universe permission to translate it in the most meaningful way. Because your ego is like, no, it has to be like this. It's definitely got to be someone like that, and it needs to be like that, and I'm not doing that again, so it must be like this. And you know, and all your fears and all your expectations and all the weight of that inner child projection is going into that tick box list of what your perfect love looks like. And it's completely unrealistic. The universe is saying, look, we're trying to start this cycle, but you can either go down this spiral, this whirlpool, intentionally, with conviction, with strength, with composure, with consciousness, or you can go in it like a calamity. There's always going to be some frog energy, because you're a bit of a frog too. You know, you can be a nightmare. Don't pretend you're not. We can all be nightmares. You know, we're all growing too. It's about love. You know, I am not a perfect person. I never will be. But I am learning to be my best self. So in any relationship, if they can't handle my faults, then they don't love me enough. Because everyone's got them. No one's perfect. You know, and even the richest person might be poor tomorrow. So don't base it on the material stuff. You know, base it on how good it feels in your heart and how beautifully the synergy moves between you, and that person respects and cares for you. It's really simple. Focus on what it is that you want to feel. So when you find yourself placing conditions around the kind of relationship that it has to be, ask yourself why you need those conditions. And why you don't just need really genuine, heart-centered, authentic love. That's all you really need, because everyone's got a few rough edges. You know, you are emotionally intelligent enough to navigate through that. What you need is a co-partner that has the same degree of emotional intelligence and can hit the ground running with you, that you can grow together. With work, this is such a contradictory energy. And I'm really drawn to actually look at what this person's doing. I wouldn't normally. They're spinning. So the spinning wool, you can see all the spools around them, and it's drop spinning. So they haven't even got a wheel. They're not aware of the wheel. What are you spinning? There's a magical quality to this because of all the little stars and the light emanating from this process. But isn't it interesting that we're seeing, again, that spinning cyclic energy here? Now, this is work. Remember I was saying everything feels challenged right now. So we're seeing this spinning energy occurring, but this is magic. Magic is happening here. The devil in reverse is about addiction and not necessarily seeing our own shadow aspects, our own obsession. So something is out of balance here. I'm going to get a clarifier for that one. Let's get some more cards. Okay, 2 came out. So we've got the King of Pentacles and the 4 of Pentacles. Okay. So these are definitely, you know, material world, work-based energies. The 8 of Pentacles, as I said, it's not just work, mastership, diligence, getting things done, the repetitive nature of the work, the consistency that's required of it. But the 4 of Pentacles is about holding on. Look how many pies they've baked. And see how this dude is kind of clutching it to his chest like, this is mine. You know, this is mine. I'm keeping it for myself. There's a real attitude of, what's the word? Possessiveness about this energy, the 4 of Pentacles, and very much so in this deck. And I'm looking at that star. It's a 5-pointed star. So that's the energy again of transformation. And the King. So regards work, this is leadership energy and attachment energy, this hard workmanship energy, but it's clarified by the devil in reverse. I want to say that you're either a workaholic, but also that there's something, I'm trying to pick up what it is. It's like really nuanced energy. You're very, very good at what you do, and you believe yourself genuinely to be able to do it better than most others, but you don't want to, and yet there is a buzz at being so great at it. It's like, it's not an entirely healthy obsession, but it's a very, very productive one that's allowed you to be very successful. But I think you're being asked to reflect on what you're holding on to. You know, this isn't sparking your creativity anymore. We can see that with the Queen of Wands in reverse and the King of Swords in reverse. You know, you are neither challenged mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or even your passions. You know, this isn't lighting your fire, and you are going against the grain of who you truly are. And so I feel like as you spiral through this circle, you're feeling this peel back as well. You're starting to feel the mundanity of it, the repetitiveness of it, and yet you're still hanging on for dear life. It says here, align your inner compass. Align your inner compass. You know, that's about getting to the real nitty gritty energy of what's real and what isn't, what's fear or imagined, and what's meant for you. Yes, you're very good at what you do. There's no doubt about it. It's helped you become very abundant. You are, you know, you've created everything you needed to create from this process, but you are ready to shift, pile 1. And look at what we've got here. Enjoy growth and reap rewards, and track down your fears and desires. So again, it's about feeling into the difference between light and dark, fear and real desire, born of love and that self-fulfilling, inspired energy. We always know what we want deep inside. This is why we have an inner compass. We always know what's truly right for us, but it's the mind that gets in the way with it. It's the mind that says, oh, but you know, that would be really nice, but, and it comes up with all kinds of imagined catastrophes if you were to take that course of action, or it comes up with all kinds of reasons why you can't do it. Oh, but that's too far away, and I've still got to do this, and I've got an obligation over there, and I wouldn't have time, or it costs too much money. There's always a barrier that you create for yourself before you've even tried. You know, why are you hanging on? You really need to ask yourself, what is it that you're afraid of, and what are your true desires? I find that a really useful practice, like a journaling practice, to get to the truth of what you really want, is to say to yourself, if I had a magic wand, and this magic wand makes sure that whatever I choose it turns out good. It turns out, nice and just as I'd imagined it. That allows you, to ask then, well, if I'm safe, if I know it's going to work out, what would I actually choose? And you may still have some indecision, but you'll start opening the curiosity door. You'll start wondering about all the different things you could do. If you knew it was guaranteed to be okay, what would you actually choose? Spend time really allowing yourself to daydream about that and really enjoying how good it feels to imagine all of these wonderful things. When you're doing that, pay attention to what the mind says to you. Write those thoughts down as you hear them. But that could go wrong. Oh, that would cost too much money. I probably couldn't do that. So-and-so wouldn't be happy about it. Listen to their thoughts. Jot them down as they come. Just let them keep coming. Don't argue with them. Just write them down, because that's going to reveal your fears. So you imagine something beautiful and feel good, and then you'll hear your fears tumble in behind it. You are emotionally so mature in many ways. You have this natural, compassionate, empathic understanding of people, the movement of energies. You've got such intense, beautiful intuition. You just need to harness it at this chaotic moment in time. You're being challenged to just move into that flow, to observe what's happening, pay special attention to the work and love life, what you're expecting in love, what you're not facing in work. Because these are the areas that are shifting the most. I think definitely with work, you're being encouraged to expand in a big way and to actually be decisive about love, to recognize that whatever you're thinking and believing about love right now is what's manifesting. Same with your work stuff. Consciously manifest, figure out to get the best growth and rewards, figure out what your fears and desires actually are, because they're both adding up to the magic ingredient that is creating this next step for you. Shaolin Master, be graceful in movement and action. Just relax. Again, it's the energy of surrender and flow. I'm just noticing there's a praying mantis here. I don't know what praying mantis means, but the fact that it's praying has got to be a good thing, right? And it's so still in that prayer. Focused prayer, focused intention. That's what I'm going to take from it. I don't know if it's right, but that's what feels right. Artistic license. Okay. Broken arrow. Embrace the energy of peace. Now, I never used to understand this card, but this year in April, I actually broke arrows with a Native American Indian. It was very cool. So it was an elder from the Apache tribe. And this whole process, you literally run into the arrow and it snaps against your rib cage, your heart. And it's about bringing peace. So you set your intention. Mine was for healing for a specific person. And then you kind of run into the arrow. And it's like a self-sacrificing energy. I'm going to let everything go into this. And once the arrow is broke, there is simply peace. So that was the ritual. I'm sure it means so much more than that in terms of their culture. And they probably break arrows in all sorts of other ways. But that was the ritual that I experienced. And it really was beautiful because there is a very real sensation of fear as you run into the arrow. What if it pierces me? What if I'm dead? Even though it looks pretty blunt, this feels a bit risky, it does feel like a very intense thing to do. But once it snaps, there's like this little rush of euphoria, of excitement, it's a release. It's very beautiful. So I really feel like this is about really facing head on all of those things that you are avoiding, all of those things that you don't want to address, because if you keep them in the background, everything, I feel like you're in a comfort zone. You've expanded, you've got comfortable in that expansion, and now that next level of expansion feels a bit intimidating, feels a bit overwhelming. You've spent so long working to be healthy enough to be in a happy relationship that now the prospect of one comes along, you're actually kind of, a little bit jittery. And the same with this work energy. You've worked so hard to get this balance and stability that thought of starting over, doing something different. Oh, you're facing a new set of fears, but you're facing this because you've grown so much. Remember the fear you felt when you started these things. And I feel like you've been single for a long time and you've almost convinced yourself to a degree that maybe you don't need that perfect person. You know, you're actually starting to talk yourself out of it. You're starting to convince yourself that the right person doesn't even exist, because they have to be all these tick that box, tick that box, tick this box, all these things. You know, they've got to be stable, they've got to be this, they've got to be that, they've got to have enough money, they've got to do this, they've got to be that, they've got to like their mum, da, 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 da. You know, you've got this crazy list. You need to put the list in the bin. Let yourself understand what that tells you about your true fears and what that inner child needs. Start feeding and nourishing that inner child, and trust that that relationship is already making its way to you. Someone that you can grow with, grow together. Right, let's get some more tarot cards. What else do you need to know, pole one? Okay, so we've got the Eight of Swords in reverse. We've got the Hermit in reverse. We've got the Ten of Wands. No, sorry, the Ten of Pentacles. I beg your pardon. The Forest Land, that's the Emperor. Beautiful cards. And the Four of Swords. This is such a great lineup. Right, clarifying the Eight of Swords in reverse. The Seven of Cups. Clarifying the Hermit in reverse is the Nine of Cups. Clarifying the Ten of Pentacles is the Two of Swords. Clarifying the Emperor is the Ace of Wands. And clarifying the Four of Swords is the Fool. Okay, let's get some more oracle cards. Right, from this deck, this is the Fairy Forest Oracle. We've got Soulkin, the Elf Queen, the Green Man, and Ragnarok. And from, let's use this one. This is the Maiden Oracle. The Chariot, number 7. So it's got tarot cards in as well. It's like a tarot oracle. Aminata Muscaria in 3s. Right, this is going to really challenge my understanding of Roman numerals. I know that's a 10, and that's a 5. I think it's 78. I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know what L is. Okay. In 3s, we'll work with that number. Right. You have so much beautiful potential, part 1. Look at this again. Look at that spiraling energy. It's almost like in a whirlpool. You couldn't make this up. Like, there's such a strong image that's come through the deck. And this one, all the spirals and tangled web of it, this feeling of being twisted up, inhibited and caught. Now, this is 7 of Swords, so it's about limitations of the mind. But they're not real limitations, they're perceived. For example, if this young lady, you know, stopped covering her eyes and started untying herself, which she is able to do, and loosening or maneuvering around these twigs, she could get out of this situation. It certainly is uncomfortable. Well, it's prickly, right? It's a thorny issue to be in. It is very uncomfortable, but you can't surrender to it. You have spent so long learning how not to betray yourself, learning to be assertive, learning that you don't always have to be the peacekeeper. It's okay to draw a line in the sand and say, no, this is what I want. When someone shows you resistance, you always give in, because you don't want to be seen like the villain. You don't want to be seen like the person who's too pushy or too demanding. You know, you betray yourself, and you work so hard to learn how to have boundaries, but it feels like there's still one area of your life where you're letting it ride and letting it ride, and it's creating all kinds of discord for you. Again, you're not recognizing that you have the power to flow. You have the power to choose anything you want. The 7 of Cups is about choices, and it's reminding you that you have to be comfortable with your own choices. But generally you're uncomfortable because someone else is uncomfortable. You're so concerned about their feelings, how it's going to affect them, what they will think of you, that it makes it really difficult for you to actually own it and stand up for yourself. When we've got the Hermit in reverse, again, we see someone who is disconnected from their intuition, someone who has access to so much of it, but isn't always leaning back, again, creating space, you know, going into the deep. Look, this is a badger underground, you know, cozy with his own light. And look, he's studying, he's writing and journaling. You see his little journal on the side there, his little pen, feather quill pen. So, you know, you're being asked to recognize that there is a divine flow of energy right now that's driving you forward, helping you to expand. You know, you've got the Nine of Cups here. You've developed this emotional self-sufficiency, that emotional power and control that you use to avoid things. You can apply it instead to leaning in to what's there and allowing yourself to flow more freely with that divinity. Look at that. We had the 10 of Cups there, and now we've got the 10 of Pentacles. This is union energy. It's the energy of connectedness, community. There's massive change here. But look, you're looking in the mirror. All the changes that will occur there are a reflection of you, what you're choosing, what you're thinking, what you're feeling. It's all about you. You know, this is your journey. You know, you're co-creating this. Co-create with intention. You're so close. The Emperor is about dominion. It's about finally mastering it. And that Ace of Wands is that leap forward, that new beginning. Remember, we talked about that completion energy of 10. Well, 1 is the new beginning. We even have the Fool here. You know, that cycle resetting when you actually start healing around this work stuff and this other relationship stuff. Remember, it's going to be fruitful. But you've got to lean into the dark to swing back into the light with greater force and find your balance in it. It's the same cycle you've been through before, but you're resisting it again. In threes, magic mushrooms, Amanita muscari, or fly agarics as they're also known. In threes is about a creation and abundance as well. 3, or the Trinity, it's such an important number in every faith. But here you're being asked to lean into the magic. And for some reason I'm hearing a what's it called? A witch's ritual. I read this in the book when I was a little girl. Read it in like a witch's history book, and it was thrice around the circle bound, evil sink into the ground. So it's about transmuting any negative energy around you and driving it into the ground. And so I really feel like this is what it's reminding you of, the quality of magical ritual and intention, and how much value it adds to what you're intending and creating. Above all else, you are in creation mode. You're being guided to just recognize all of these little, it's like bumps in the path, that if you can navigate them more smoothly if you can see that they're there, right? It's about awareness, soul kin, recognition, family and kinship. That's another beautiful energy of community, family and connectedness that came through for you. The Elf Queen, introverted, burden, responsibility, number 13. So that's the number of the devil again. I beg your pardon, it's the Death card. So it's the energy of transformation. Introverted, burden, responsibility. So this feels like those energies we were just talking about. You know, we were saying about you you don't want to feel like the villain to anybody. You don't want to be responsible for their feelings. This is where you have to transform the most, because you're not responsible. You make yourself responsible. You have this emotional power to harness. You need to use it to your advantage. You need to control it. We've got the Green Man. Initiative, fertilization and action. It's all happening for you. Everything's growing. And Ragnarok, destruction, endings and final moments. There are things that you're going to have to let go, part 1. You can't have new beginnings without endings. And I feel like in one respect it's letting go of expectations and this fantasy ideal that you have regards love and relationships. And in another respect, it's letting go quite literally of the things that don't set your heart on fire anymore and that don't serve you. Be bold. You're ready to do this. I'm going to take this over to the extended now. I feel like we're going to get a couple of charms just to wrap up the guidance, and then we're going to go deeper because I really want to know more about the family stuff, all this lovely 10 of Pentacles energy and the work stuff. We don't have time in this reading, but we'll definitely dig deeper in the next. But let's get some parting guidance for you. Okay, I'm after about 8, so I think that's probably on the nose, just about. Okay, what's this? This is the beer. A beer tarot card. Interesting. I've never read that one before. Another tarot card. We've got the 3 of Swords. We've got yin yang, light and dark. We've got swans. We've got rise above, the winged heart. We've got serotonin deficiency club. We've got party animal. Well, it's a party animal sloth, so it's a bit ironic. We've got the penny. And the last one is F-boy repellent. Yeah. I feel like your F-boy repellent has been in near constant use. Very high standards, pile 1. Okay, so the beer. Now, there's a lot of playful energies here, you know, and I feel like this is why you're kind of like, I think you are out there at this stage, you know, maybe starting to think about love. Still a little bit antsy about it, but definitely opening that window. I really felt with the beer that sometimes you can be... I want to say, so this is combining it with tarot, right, which is spirituality. It's annoying me there's no number on this because that would really help. It does say C, though. I don't know why it's C, or if that means anything to you. Or is that meant to be a crescent moon? It looks like a C to me. I feel like somehow maybe you only kind of get intuitive when you're playing with friends, having a drink. You know, maybe it's the kind of thing that you sit down in the evening, have a glass of wine or a joint or a beer, and then you'll think, oh, you know, I'll play my tarot cards or I'll do this. You know, there's nothing wrong with using substances sometimes to help you open up. But I would like to remind you that it's not always very safe. And that maybe we had this number of, this card about magical ritual. There is a suggestion there that you tighten that up, that you be focused and intentional when you're practicing. Because when you do tune in, you're always manifesting. And if you're not completely aligned because you're using substances which may put you at risk, may create interference, or may inhibit you from being aligned, you know, you're not going to be as focused and you're going to get variable results. Rise above the pettiness is what I heard when I drew this one. Party animal sloth is, I feel this is like you need to have more fun, but you feel too tired too. It's almost like you need to go out more and do things, but it's just like, oh, everything seems such a tremendous effort. I'm hearing that you should do it anyway. Push yourself out of your comfort zone. This is what this period is like. Focus on the healing. You know, healing that grief cycle that came up earlier. Finding that balanced perspective. Trust that love is coming. Serotonin deficiency, of course, and it says VIP member, that this has been happening for you for some time. You felt out of control. I definitely think this is cyclic, and you need to trust that, you know, you burn out very quickly. You're the sort of person that needs a lot of time to recharge. You definitely need to give yourself that at the moment, and maybe put the F-boy repellent away. You don't need it anymore. You know, you are much more intuitive. You're less inclined to betray yourself in love. Maybe still in some other matters, and there's work to do, but that's okay. But, you know, you are not attracting these types of people anymore. It really feels like you're not. You know, luck is on your side, pile 1. I really feel like it is. And you are ready to break through. You've just got to try and find your balance in that whirlpool of change, and trust that if you can, remember that it's that magnetic alignment, aligning with your inner compass and really achieving your highest potential. You're so ready for it. I hope this has helped. Thank you so much for joining me here. It's always such a pleasure to read for you. You can find the extended link down below in the description box and pinned at the top of the comments. But for now, thank you for joining me here. Thank you for your beautiful comments. Don't forget to make a note of which pile you watched. You only watched half the video, so well, not even that, 25%. So YouTube will come back to you at some point and say, hey, you want to watch more? And you'll know which part you've watched already. That always happens to me in divine timing. I love it. Come and see me at the website. You can find meditations there, classes, private readings. I'm at happysouls1111.com. You can also book a spiritual clearing with me. But I will see you next time. Lots of love. Bye. Hello, Pile 2. Welcome to your reading. You have chosen the Bear, the Petrified Wood, and the Wildwood Tarot. And today we're asking for the messages that you need to hear the most right now. This is the reading in which we dig deep and ask Spirit to come forward with whatever is going to be the most impactful, whatever's going to help you move along your highest potential timeline. It might not be what you want to hear or what you think you need to hear. It's going to be what you absolutely need the most urgently right now. And we don't know what that's going to be about. I think this is why these readings are so important, because it gives Spirit the space to address the things that maybe you're not acknowledging, maybe you're hiding from, and the things that are going to make the biggest difference in your life when they're illuminated and brought to the surface. So let's see what's coming through for you. I'm going to move the bear up here whilst we give your deck a good shuffle. I hope you're enjoying my autumn vibes. I love autumn. It's a time for deep inner reflection. You know, winter, which is soon coming, is all about going to ground and renewing. But in order to renew ourselves, we need to know what we're letting go of. So that point of balance that's created in autumn gives us the space and energetic flow to do that, you know, to self-reflect, figure out how to move forward in the coming season. We've also got Samhain coming up, which is Halloween, the old Halloween. And I'll be releasing a special meditation for that. I'm really excited. And don't forget to join us at the portal meditations. They're always free or by donation. It's so beautiful to gather together. You can always find the most recent one listed on my website. But when we meditate together, oh, the energy is dreamy. I love it. I hope you'll join us. Anyway, whilst I'm shuffling part 2, make sure that you hold in mind the intention that you're ready and willing to receive the messages you need the most. Take a nice long deep breath, open your heart. Also, you can ask for a sign. This is a really good time to let the universe know you want to feel seen and heard. A sign is so validating. It can be anything at all, so trust whatever pops into your head first. Let's do this. So what's the situation that Spirit wants to address with you, part 2? Okay, we've got the Green Man, which is the Emperor. We've got the King of Cups, Heron. We've got the 9 of Bows, that's Wands, that's in reverse. 9 of Wands in reverse. We've got the 5 of Cups. Let's move these up so we can squeeze in one more. And that's the 3 of Pentacles, sort of stones in this deck. Okay, and clarifying these. The 8 of Swords. Clarifying the King of Cups is the Page of Cups. Clarifying the 9 of Wands in reverse is the Queen of Swords. Clarifying the 5 of Cups is the 4 of Swords. And clarifying the 3 of Pentacles is the 3 of Swords. This is such a beautiful deck. I haven't used it in so long. Right, let's get some animals. This is the Illustrated Beastry Oracle card deck. Work Together House Mouse. Spider, zigzag spider to be specific. Everything is connected. Okay, and from the Angels and Ancestors deck, Seer, see beyond the current situation. Trader, exchange energy to create abundance. Water Guardian, connect with your emotions. Get one more. Lord, take charge with authority. Very similar to that green man energy. It's Emperor energy. Okay. Pile 2. Let's start with bear. We can see in this picture that this bear is just coming out of hibernation. You know, normally they're tucked away in winter, but we can see it's dark outside. There's some treasure or perceived treasure. I don't know what use it would be to the bear here in the foreground. Bones in the background. And he looks a bit shaggy and stressed, doesn't he? Like he's hungry. I don't know why I assume it's a he. But bear is comforting energy. It's the energy of strength, courage, and hibernation plays a key role because it's a time at which they regenerate. It's exactly what we were just talking about. You know, they go to ground, they rest, they replenish themselves. And to us, that's such an alien concept, not to eat for a whole season, to stay asleep, to barely come up for breath. And they come out, don't they? Like looking a bit shaggy, looking a bit thin, and then they just embrace that new season. So a bear out in the dark, in the middle of all of that, suggests some degree of an avoidance, an inability to rest. And we can see with the 8 of Swords and the Emperor here that you are very consumed by your career and your work life. And you're not taking this time to rest. You're not taking this time to regenerate. All of these energies here make me think that there is really deep and meaningful work going on. You know, we've got the energy of collaboration with the 3 of Pentacles, but we've also got so much heartbreak happening behind the scenes. I feel really guided that whatever your work life is, there is some tragic love story that exists within it, and it's been really, really hard for you. You've had to be on a team with this person. You've had to work in close proximity with them. And it's been very, very painful. We can see that you are in a role of leadership, or this could be perceived as someone leading you for sure. The Emperor is all about dominion. And we can see here that they're conjuring some kind of potion. The green man, of course, represents fertility and abundance. You know, that the bounty of nature, but it's clarified by the 8 of Swords, this feeling of being trapped, this feeling of being manipulated or not having clarity of thought. We've got the King of Cups as well, you know, which tells me you have massive capacity for emotional flow. You feel everything, and that's both a blessing and a curse. And at the moment, this is clarified by the Page of Cups. I'm hearing that for some of you, this relates to a child you're caring for. For others, it's the inner child that you're healing and caring for. But there is a lot going on in your life. It feels to me like you are completely bogged down with very overwhelming responsibility. And when the 9 of Wands is in reverse, it feels like you cannot go on. You know, there is a part of you that feels like you're caught up in this harsh prison sentence of physical, mental, and emotional chaos. When our work and love life overlaps, of course, it feels like you can't get away from it. And I really feel that with the 3 of Swords showing up and the 3 of Pentacles, that you were betrayed by your person with someone else, perhaps within the business, because we see this love triangle here with the 3 of Swords, which is called jealousy in this deck. And it's clarifying the 3 of Pentacles, which is about collaboration. And look how rigid these energies are. So this person is leaning into this kind of portal, this trinity of stone, and they're literally grounding into the earth. You know, this really reminds us how significant you are as a light worker and your role on this planet. I don't believe your business or this work situation is specifically related to light work, but in the background, you have been, oh, I'm going to sneeze. I must need to release something on your behalf. It's not coming now. But in the background, you know, you have been healing yourself. And like that old saying, you know, if you want to change the world, change yourself. That is the path you're on, becoming your best self. I feel like you've been free. Most of you have been free of this person for a while, but you may still be caught up in this work situation, or certainly, you know, everything is connected. This is a tangled web of issues that all kind of, it feels like entrapment, like you are trapped. Now, what's interesting about the 5 of Cups is that in this deck, it's described as ecstasy. Now, traditionally, the Five of Cups is about grieving. It's illustrated as someone stood on a riverbank looking at all the spilled cups around them. A river flows behind them, and there's a bridge that goes over it leading to this beautiful palace or castle in the distance. But the person in the foreground is so fixated on the 5 spilled cups that they don't notice the bridge or the way out. They just feel stuck where they are, consumed by grief and heavy emotion. And 5 is a transformative number. It's it's a midway point. It's an odd number as well. It's uncomfortable, unbalanced energy. It's always about high learning, and it's always challenging. And so the fact that it's described here as ecstasy reminds us of something really important. For one, we can see the 5-pointed star of the pentagram. And remember, that represents all the elements and our connection to Ether. It's a magical symbol that wards off darker energies. And these bowls represent the balancing of emotions through all of the bodies, the recognition that our emotional power is actually our strength. To feel everything is a beautiful gift if we can harness that energy to work in our favor. That's why it's called ecstasy in this deck. This is quite beautiful. This is reminding you that this disgusting adversity you have faced in your workplace, this gross betrayal, and you can sense the strength of my conviction when I say that, because I feel it. I understand how badly you have been hurt, how badly you were betrayed, and the atrocious behavior of those around you. That's been so hard to reconcile. It's so difficult to understand how people can behave in such abhorrent ways. For someone like you with such a pure heart, such a big heart, it's incomprehensible. But here you're being asked to celebrate freedom from that, because now the cat is out of the bag. The truth is becoming clearer and clearer every day, and you are breaking free. And even though you feel completely tangled up by this and like you can't go on, you are being promised movement. This 5 of Cups is clarified by the 4 of Swords. That's healing, that's transformation. In the traditional 4 of Swords, this card depicts someone sitting in a church. They've got 1 sword on their chest, the sword of truth, and the 3 swords are on the wall above them. Remember, we've got the 3 of Swords here. So here they're pinned in a point of balance, in this linear cubic fashion by these swords or arrows as they are in this deck. We've got the butterfly looming large into the picture, which is symbolic of transformation. And then it's called rest. Just rest. And this is such a position of someone exhausted. It's that feeling of just collapsing, like I can't go on any longer. But you've got to harness this energy and give yourself that rest. The Queen of Swords, and we've got lone swan energy here. Swans aren't meant to be on their own. When you see a swan on its own, it's a heartbreaking love story because they mate for life. So it may be a young swan that hasn't found its mate yet, but generally speaking, the fact that these creatures are so loyal to their partners, their counterparts, means that when we see a swan alone, we actually call it a demi-swan. And so it always symbolizes that something was lost love. And it's seen as a symbol of loneliness, of grief. It's no coincidence that it's showing up in this reading. But here it's the Queen of Swords, the queen of the mental body. So you've been leaning out of your emotional body and trying very hard to harness it, to keep going, to rest, to ground this energy. You just need to give yourself more space in which to do that. I really feel like the universe wants to pat you on the back and remind you how dignified you have been, despite a highly fluid and really challenging set of circumstances, because you were really run roughshod over. Like, people really did the dirty on you. For this to happen across all of your life experience, in your work, in your home, it's probably disrupted the family, even the friendship groups. Nothing was left untouched by this awful betrayal. And yet you've still had to show up. You've still had to keep working. You've still had to be part of that team. But we can see how, faced with all this very rigid, unyielding energy, you just grounded yourself into it and clung on for dear life. You are an absolute warrior, part 2. You are doing so incredibly well despite the adversity you have faced. I just feel like this is reminding you it is going to be okay, but you need to keep working for yourself. You need to keep yielding to your emotional body. And this entrapment is Ace of Swords. We're going to get some more guidance around this specifically. But, you know, this is someone trying to find their way despite really challenging conditions and just feeling like they're under attack. Look at that light, the lantern they're carrying. You know, this is someone trying to find their way in the dark, trying to not allow the environment to dim its glow. And look how stressed this person looks. You know, walking through this barren landscape, feeling like you're under attack. This is really hard. Can you just pause a moment and give yourself permission to feel that? Because this Queen of Swords energy, this, you know, you don't want to be rigid and unyielding like them. This is you leaning into your mental body. It's like being a soldier with complex post-traumatic stress disorder, like shell shock. You've come out of this just completely closed off to your emotional depth. You let it out here and there. You know, you let yourself release and cry. You do the odd meditation to lean into this inner child healing and a bit of, you know, the woo-woo stuff for healing here and there. But day to day, you are nose to the grindstone and you're clinging on for dear life. It's going to be okay. But there is an ecstasy to be found in the pain when you release it, because this emotional power, this emotional intelligence you have, it's what's going to allow you to rise in the most beautiful way. Things are shifting for you, but you've got to give yourself permission to shift. We've got seer, see beyond the current situation. And so, you know, when we're in it, when we're stuck in something, it's hard to see the wood for the trees. This is reminding you of your power to elevate above that forest, to become the eagle who it has that broad perspective and can connect to both worlds, can see everything as it really is. You know, when we're in the thick of it, it's very difficult to see what's on the horizon, what's coming next. And it's so easy to feel lost and lonely in that. Which way am I going? Everything's confusing, everything's in chaos because your whole life was affected. There's people that can help you. We've got this collaborative energy, exchange energy to create abundance. You know, it was 17:17 on the timer on my phone as I said that. So that's the star times 2. That's about dreaming a new future into being. That's the energy that comes after the tower, after the collapse. It reminds you that being at ground zero is a beautiful thing because you get to rebuild now with intention, you know, with real drive to create the life you want. Everything that was holding you back has been smashed to pieces. And even though that was horrifically painful for you, the universe is literally opening new doors and saying, look, you wouldn't have even looked at these doors if those ones weren't closing. This is all part of you moving forward, and you're going to reflect on this time at some point and you're going to be glad it's happened. And I know that seems inconceivable to you right now, but I want to say you probably wouldn't have left this relationship, and yet you weren't fulfilled in it. You know, this person couldn't match your depths. I want to say they have a lot of air in their chart, very mental body focused, and it frustrated you so much that they were able to shut off their emotions and be really pragmatic and appear so sensible. But within that, there was a real passive aggressive manipulative undertone that because of their emotional avoidance and therefore their ability to remain calm and not react like you did, they always seemed like the right person. You always seemed like the bad guy or the villain because you were the one that would emotionally explode. This wasn't a healthy connection that you were involved in. You weren't, I would say that you were actually emotionally abused in quite an intense way, and you didn't even realize it. You know, you were gaslit at every turn. You were forced to question your reality, to question your own integrity, to question who you were. They had a lot of assumptions about the kind of person they thought you were. You know, they made the most gross assumptions. they felt they understood your every intention. Every little mistake in their mind was a deliberate slight on them, or you were just being a terrible, malicious person. You know, they made you feel so much self-loathing. And this is why you kept reacting. And even them betraying you, they'll say was your fault. You know, they're the victim. You know, this is not a nice person you're dealing with. So having to work with them, having to navigate through that, and not feeling like you can give up, trying to be strong, feeling like you can't let go. It's like this bear out of hibernation. You know, the universe is saying, look, come into the cave, sit in the dark a while, just let yourself rest. To embody the ecstasy of feeling again and opening your heart, to recognize there's great power in that. You don't have to roam around in the cold under attack anymore. You can lean out of your mental body and come back to yourself. You know how good it feels because you do create some space for this to happen. But you need to create more space. You know, this needs to be a prolonged period of rest or hibernation. Look at this, Water Guardian. Connect with your emotions. We've got Lord, take charge with authority. You know, this is that balance of feminine, masculine energies. You've been taught that your emotions were unprofessional, too sensitive, embarrassing, things to keep private, disruptive, destructive. If only you could control yourself, you would hear. You know, I really think your ex-partner's done a number on you, making you feel that you were just too much in every sense of the word. And so you've shut that part of yourself down. You've learned to curb your empathic, compassionate ways because that didn't feel safe anymore. This person convinced you it was so wrong, but this was always your strength and your superpower, and they envied you. They needed to keep you down because they couldn't have you being elevated above them. In their mind, you were so much better than them. It's their inferiority complex that made them behave in the way that they did. Does it make them a bad person? Not really. They're just a victim of their own ignorance and shadow avoidance. You know, we're all born pure. And so there's a message here as well about you letting go and forgiving. The resentment, the frustration, the anger. And you have every right to feel it, but there's a time for it. Anger is an emotion we're meant to feel because it alerts us that a situation isn't safe, that someone's disrespecting us. It's an energy we need to pay attention to. And it's an energy that we certainly need to act upon. But the time to act has passed. You've already acted. I feel like you've already created space from this situation, or you're at the point at which you're doing so. And for those of you that aren't, you need to act. But we don't act on the anger in an immediate fashion. You know, what we do is bring it back, we take some rest, we process, we get clarity, which isn't available now. We heal, and we come back to it from a balanced place. But that anger needs to be processed. It needs to be allowed, but you also need to be aware of not letting it consume you and not letting it distract you. It's this staying in that Queen of Swords energy, which is cutting, professional, rigid. I'm not going to let myself soften. I'm not going to let myself yield. That makes me weak. It makes me vulnerable. You know, this fear of actually being yourself now, because being yourself has just been demonized by this ex who has just crushed everything about you. There is so much self-loathing in you, and you just need to know that you will and can recover from this, and you will come back stronger, and you will come back brighter than ever before. I'm hearing that history confirms this. Every time you've hit the deck, you have got up 10 times stronger than the time before. You know, this is the energy of recognizing that take 2 steps forward and 1 back, but that 1 step back, that additional layer of challenge is what allows you to build so much strength and powerful stride into your forward journey. Think of it as a pretty harsh training ground, if we're honest, but you're here for big things, pile 2. Let's get some more cards. Isn't this Wildwood deck beautiful? I forget how much I love it. I really haven't used it for a long time. Okay, we've got the King of Pentacles in reverse. The Seven of Wands. The Chariot, named the Archer in this deck. Seven of Swords. The Moon in reverse. Clarifying, we've got the Six of Cups. Seven of Wands clarified by the Six of Swords in reverse. The Chariot clarified by the Queen of Wands in reverse. Seven of Swords clarified by the Three of Wands. And the Moon in reverse clarified by the Knight of Cups. Okay, I'm going to throw this out there. If you were actually considering getting back with this person, please don't do it. We've got the King of Pentacles here clarified by the Six of Cups, which is named Reunion in this deck. So, you know, this ex, I know sometimes what we know feels safe because, you know, it's the norm to us, it's the comfort zone. But you've got to persist with moving forward and really develop healthy boundaries. This is about clearing, you know, clearing the way for your light to shine. You were so repressed in that relationship. And certainly, you know, when it comes to reunion, I'm hearing there will be reunions with other soul connections. When we've got the Six of Swords in reverse, it shows us that there's some kind of challenge in transitioning. You know, there's some kind of, and look at how similar these cards are. Here we see the water. There's a bull here, another heron. Such an interesting depiction of the cards. We'll come to that in a minute. But the Moon is about not trusting. We've got Seven of Swords, which is about betrayal. It's called insecurity here. You know, you had to have this relationship. There was something karmic and painful about it. But the Archer is a predator. You know, it's about going after what you wanted. The Chariot is about divine flow and divine guidance. And we can see that the Queen of Wands was in reverse. The seer in you was repressed. But you had to go through this in order to find your own way back. The Three of Wands is about fulfillment. It reminds you that without insecurity, you can't really have the balance of security. You know, someone who hasn't suffered can't be grateful. And I hate to say that. But it's true. We all suffer. Everyone on the planet suffers. It's the one thing we all have in common. Everyone experiences heartbreak, betrayal, deceit, oppression in some way or another, all to varying degrees, of course. But it goes without saying that for that to be, you know, for love and pain to be the two primary things we have in common with each other, there has to be some purpose to it. I think Khalil Gibran, in his book The Prophet, the chapter on love, I encourage you to read it. I think he describes it the most beautifully. And if you think about the expansion of the emotional body, we can't expand into the light without also relating equally to the dark. And it feels to me that our ability to lean into our suffering is in direct proportion to our ability to lean into our light. You were tasked with some harsh lessons, but this is undoubtedly because you had to teach others. You know, you're going to come through this as this, you know, with such emotional understanding and intelligence that you're going to be able to communicate with and protect others from the same fate. And you chose this, your soul chose this, but don't go back. You'll only have to repeat the cycle again. I want to say I had a very similar life experience, and I didn't leave properly. And it was exactly 7 years later that the same thing happened again. It was like, okay, you didn't want to do it last time. You weren't ready to learn that lesson. Are you ready now? Here's the same challenge again. What are you going to do? So, you know, everything happens for a reason. And if you are not opening the doors that you're meant to be opening, Spirit will start slamming doors and opening others for you. And that's what the Tower energy is. That's why we had that star energy come through. The point after, when you're at ground zero, you have an opportunity to rebuild again. What are you going to rebuild? You know, are you going to rebuild from the point of deliberate intention for caring and loving for self and putting yourself first and, you know, living in the way that you want to, rather than making yourself small to fit in somewhere else? This is what you're being called to do. Let's get some guidance cards, and I think some charms as well. Gosh, intense energies for you. Right, this is the Queen of the Moon Oracle. The unexpected blue moon. Now, we've just had a blue moon. Worm moon, faith. Beaver moon, creation. And change. And I'm just looking at these cards again before I put this down, because, you know, when I said the moon in reverse is about disillusion, not trusting, there's another message here about you learning to trust yourself again. Because when we are gaslit, when we suffer with like the kind of abuse that you have, we are constantly forced to question our own reality. So our own belief system, our access to our inner compass becomes skewed. You know, we stop knowing how to really tap in to that truest part of ourselves and, you know, draw back the truth, that feeling of uncertainty and knowing, because we've been forced to question it so many times or to deny it. So there's a recalibration that needs to happen here. Remember, we had the Queen of Cups and the Page of Cups. Here we've got the Knight of Cups as the eel. Now let me tell you, the eel is a really magical creature. For one, every eel on this planet, and I mean every single one, goes back to the Bermuda Triangle once a year at the same time. And we don't know where they go, but we know they go there and they leave. And we've never seen an eel procreate. No scientist in the land has ever been able to observe an eel in captivity procreate. So it's one of those mysteries that they don't know how. But eels can be found on every continent, in every river, in every lake, in every ocean. And they all come from the same place. Some seriously weird stuff, right? So they're a really magical creature. Now, they exist in salt water, you know, fresh water. They are present in every body of water on this planet. And water represents the emotional body, the totality of our connection to ourselves. Even its appearance as a serpent-like shape is significant. But the mystery that surrounds that, and you know, the way this eel is moving suggests that journey. It's moving forward into the picture, you know, in that very snake-like fashion. The water is moving with it, you know, it's harnessing that emotional power. It always knows where to go, where it comes from, and where to return to. So we don't know where that is, but, you know, definitely this is about finding some lost wisdom within yourself, remembering who you really are. There needs to be some kind of rebirth or renewal to really allow you to shift out of this, but you've got to hibernate. You've got to give yourself the room to make that happen. Now, we've got Thunder Moon here as well with seagull energy, and we see this woman pushing off the egg. She's literally using her feet to drive herself away from it. Red is root chakra energy, which connects to our material world. So you can see how resistant she is of that new beginning, how resistant to change this person is. You know, trust in the unexpected, have faith it's going to be okay. Dream your new world into being. Right, let's get some more of these Beastery Oracle cards. Okay, so we've got Eastern Oyster, deal with the dirt. There's a lot of cleaning up to do. Free your inner fire, pileated woodpecker. So this card came out in pile 1, and I was really drawn to the spiral, the intention, focus and accuracy of the woodpecker when it's chipping away at the same spot. So for me, this is also about being determined, diligent, consistent, and super focused with your spiritual practice. Free your inner fire. You know, don't stop. You've got to be consistent. You've got to keep moving about it, trusting that cycles move in spirals if we allow ourselves to shift and move, if we allow ourselves to change. Deal with the dirt. You've got to let the anger out, the shame, the fury. You've got to bring it forward. You've got to let yourself taste it. I know it's painful, but it's such a euphoric experience to let it go. Believe me, I became addicted to this kind of healing because you dig deep, you reconnect with that pain, you feel it all again, but for such a short time, and afterwards there's this euphoric high because you've shed so much weight. You know, it really is very cathartic. And I really think that you would benefit dramatically from just facing it head on now, rather than a little bit at a time. You're so ready for it. You know, there will be a period of stillness, of darkness even. Going into the dark feels uncomfortable, but can you trust that everything grows in the dark? Everything. We grow in the dark of our mum's womb. Ragnarok, destruction, ending, final moment. And this is the number 11. Look at the fire in the background. Now remember, fire is the energy of spirit. You know, this is what you're being asked to release. You've got the Queen of Wands here in reverse, to come back to who you are, to come back to that balanced, emotional, spiritual power that you were so easily able to access before you were so bent out of shape, before the tragedy of this relationship. Right, this is the Sacred Forest Oracle. And then we're going to get some charms as well. And I think some more of these cards. Spirit Guardian of Winter, Retreat. Wow. You've seen the pattern, right? Bear Spirit. Oh my goodness, that's so beautiful. Healing. So you undoubtedly need to work with Bear Spirit. Foggy Bog, Patience, more Heron energy. And Storm Spirit, Chaos. Just looking at that in the background as well. Some like godly figure there. Okay. And from the Angels and Ancestors deck again. And then we'll get some charms. Snake, shed old skin. So we literally said that. Summer, bask in joy and light. I feel that's reassuring you that, you know, this is all going to come good in a couple of seasons. By the time you head into next summer, you're going to be feeling like a different person. Winter, take care of your needs. You've got to spend this winter time doing this. And Stag, trust and thrive. So many beautiful reassuring messages here. You know, asking you to trust in the natural flow of the seasons and the transformation that's occurring within you. But you can help move that along. You know, you can help make the energy work for you if you're deliberate. Right, let's get some charms. I'm going to stir them up and dig in. I'm going to grab about 8. I think that's about right. Okay. Gosh, that bowl's heavy. Yes, Queen. Yes, it's going to be okay. You have so got this. You are my constant. I forget what symbol that is. I know it's an astrological one. Maybe someone can mention it in the comments if it's yours or another person's. And the hexagon, okay. This suggests another spiritual connection in the background. That's a whole other reading, right? But that's come up for a reason, to reassure you. I think of purpose. Rest in peace feelings. It's time to put them to bed. It's time to say goodnight. My head hurts. Magic is real. Yes, it is. Now you have the freedom to bring it back into your life. Adventure awaits, the aeroplane ticket. I love that one. IPHM, I'll explain to you in a minute what that one means. It's like an accreditation governing body. And fix the broken heart bottle. Okay, so we're going to take this over to the extended because I've got so many more questions that have come up, especially about this soul connection. I think we need to look at what's next, as well as get some more practical guidance around. In fact, I'm going to get some more practical guidance now as well. I'm going to use this deck. This is the Maiden Oracle. We will get more in the extended, but I want to get some. Unchained Melody, Andromeda, and Cut Logs, Maidenhair Fern. And there's 2 here. We're going to keep them both. Lay Claim, Larkspur, and Plotting Mandrake. Okay. It is going to be okay. There are so many messages here about retreating, about allowing yourself to navigate through the chaos, to recognize there's only so much power you have. You can't change these people. I know it's been difficult to reconcile why they're behaving that way, but now you just need to accept it and recognize that they may continue to behave that way and there's nothing you can do about it to stop them. and neither should you try to. It's so exhausting. You don't need to understand them. You don't need to figure out why. You're not responsible for fixing them or making them try and behave and show up like a decent human being. That is not your job, and neither do you want that burden. You know, now is the time for you to retreat, to create safe, sacred space for yourself, to focus on healing and to trust, be patient enough to trust that this storm, this chaos will pass. You are shedding skin. Like I said, by summer, it's all going to be okay. Trust and thrive. Now, for practical guidance, we've got Unchained Melody, Andromeda. I'm hearing this is some kind of light language, singing, channeling energy. This is about using your voice in magical ways. Light language is absolutely fascinating. Some people have a real natural ability to flow with high vibrational sound. Andromeda to me suggests starseed energy, light language, light music, light vibration. So I really feel that, you know, from practical perspective, allowing yourself to work with sound healing as well as perhaps creating your own is going to be powerful. Cut away what doesn't serve you and lay claim to what is yours. Now is the time to be on the side of truth and justice. Some of you may have legal cases looming. Trust that it's going to work in your favor. It really is going to be okay. Remember to keep manifesting. As long as it interferes with no one else's free will, the universe has got your back. You know how to be ritualistic about that manifesting, how to ground and anchor energies. You've done all that intellectual studying. Now you need to apply it. Plucked and plotting. You know, this is literally like taking cuttings from the remnants of your life, ready to plant them anew. And you think of the mandrake, right? It screams when you pull it out of the ground, as so beautifully depicted in Harry Potter. But, you know, I feel like this is what's happened with your life. You know, it's like, oh my God, you're literally being torn out of the ground, feeling the chaos and drama and pain of that. But little do you know that you're being repotted and replanted somewhere where you can flourish and grow in ways that you have always wanted to, in ways you knew you could. Now, IPHM, as I said, this is an accredited members badge. So it's the International something of Holistic Medicine, I think. I should know because I'm a member. But what it basically does is they're like a governing body for holistic practitioners. They basically check all your credentials. They look at your certificates, the training you've had, and then they list you as, you know, accredited, or I guess it's like a certification. It just helps you understand someone's not been a scammer and just made things up and, you know, has done all the work to be where they are. So this would suggest that, you know, you need to actually be working in the holistic field and sector. And if you already know what that is and you know what excites you about that sector, lean into it. Certainly you are being encouraged to travel. Maybe retreating and taking literal time out will really serve you right now. Lay off the bottle. No wonder your head hurts. You've probably got a steaming hangover. You know, we've got Fix a Broken Heart and My Head Hurts, which is the shark. I think it's a basking shark, but it looks, you know, pretty distressed. And, you know, this is not the way to distract yourself from your feelings. You need to put the booze down and find healthier outlets. And as I said, you know, you really need to focus on saying and making peace, saying goodbye and making peace to those angry, bitter feelings that have been eating you alive. You're ready to let go, pile 2. I really hope this has helped. It's a lot of energy, and above all else, I just want to give you a big hug and let you know that it is going to be okay. You've so got this. I'm going to take this over to the extended now. I want to know more about this soul connection. I want to get more practical guidance on how you can move forward, and I think more guidance on what's next, you know, to really help you feel emboldened about moving forward and rediscovering all that mystery that has been repressed in you for so long. You're coming up to great things, part 2, I'm sure of it. I'm sending you lots of love. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Hello, part 3. Welcome to your reading. You have chosen Raven, the Spellcasters Tarot, and the Yellow Calcite. And today we're asking for the messages that you need the most right now. This is the reading in which we leave everything wide open for Spirit to interpret that question in the way that's going to be most meaningful for you. You know, it's not what you think you need to hear or what you want to hear. It's all about what you really need to hear right now that's going to be the most impactful, the most supportive in helping you move forward for your highest good. So let's do this. I'm going to move Mr. Raven up here. We're going to give these cards a shuffle. We will be using Oracle cards and Charm Bolt today as well. And there will be an extended reading as always if this one resonates for you. So whilst I'm shuffling, just take a nice long deep breath, that you're ready and willing to receive the messages that you need the most. And you can also ask the universe for a sign, just to help you feel seen and heard, to help you acknowledge the messages that you really need to pay special attention to. And a sign can be anything at all. It could be an animal, an object, it could be something from nature, it could be a place or a sequence of numbers. There's no right or wrong, whatever's right for you. Okay, let's see what's going on here with you, pile 3. What do you need to know? Okay, so this is the King of Swords in reverse, wolf energy there. The 10 of Swords. Ace of Wands, the 8 of Pentacles, and the King of Cups. So 2 kings, 1 in reverse. Let's clarify these. Woo! That's the Ace of Pentacles in reverse, clarifying the King of Swords in reverse, the Moon in reverse, 7 of Wands in reverse, the Magician, and the World in reverse. So there's lots of blocked energies in your life right now, and you are still reeling from some kind of painful breakdown. When the King of Swords comes up in reverse, it indicates really harsh words being spoken, and you can't move on from this. Someone has treated you really badly and you find yourself ruminating about it over and over and over again. It's like you cannot get it out of your head. And this is a really distorted thinking pattern that you've kind of got yourself into. And what you're being asked to recognize is that the brain is neuroplastic. The more you give focus to something, the more the brain is going to say, oh, this is the way it is now. This is what we're doing. It becomes a habitual process. And so when we go through trauma, if we are not careful, we can end up stuck in that cycle of ruminating, dwelling on things, festering in frustration, anger, shame, and it stops us from moving on. It stops us from moving forward. It keeps us stuck. And so with King of Swords in reverse, we're seeing that there's this kind of dwelling on what has been in the past, on how someone hurt you, that is keeping you rooted to the spot, keeping you stuck in your own misery. This has also created a lot of paranoia, and so you have really personalized how this person's treated you. You know, it's made you feel like the most rotten person in the world, and you can't separate yourself from how they've behaved and the things that they've said. It's made you feel like a really useless human being. And you know, this is such a tough place to be, pile 3. It's a very hard energy to be in, but you're being asked to recognize that all of this ongoing in a battle, it's within your power to transform it. We have the Ace of Wands here coming up front and center. The Ace of Wands is that beautiful new beginning. It's a light beginning. Wands is spiritual energy, and it's reminding you, look at this, there's always a silver lining. The clouds always part, the light comes in, but you do have to be intentional about this. There's work to do. You know, with the 8 of Pentacles, it's about perseverance, it's about diligence, it's about showing up for yourself every day, creating safe space for yourself. So the animals down here, look, there's a dog, which is symbolic of loyalty, and there's a squirrel, which is all about preparation. you know, storing up all the good stuff. The fact that it's raining is about emotion. You know, so it's like sometimes we can't control our environment, but we can learn to hold space for ourselves and look at the abundance that is created when we're working hard to protect ourselves, being loyal and true to ourselves. We can see with the Seven of Wands in reverse that one of your biggest challenges is boundary issues. You know, you're not good at protecting yourself because you're not willing to draw a line when people are treating you badly. And that perpetuates a lot of the same hurtful cycles of behavior that may have occurred in this relationship that you've left as well. The Magician is here. When the Magician shows up, especially with this Eight of Pentacles energy, you are being powerfully reminded of the magic in you, of the power that you have to transform your situation, to manifest a better future for yourself. There's a palpable energy of shame and self-loathing, a feeling of regret that is really prickly inside of me. It's like it's overwhelming for you. The regret is overwhelming. And so there's a real need to kind of just allow yourself to reach into the light enough to move past that. You know, you can't change what's happened, but you can start changing how you think about it. You can start changing how harshly you speak to yourself, shame yourself. When the King of Cups comes up, it shows us of your great emotional depth and capacity. You're being reminded as well that, I guess this has come up a lot in our readings lately. I feel it's part of the expansion process. It's part of that spiritual growth. You probably always had a big, pure heart. But when a big, pure heart goes through pain and trauma, it feels it in the most intense ways, in ways that others perhaps can't comprehend. And so it's no wonder that it's so debilitating and can feel, you know, so impossible to get through it. This is Scorpio energy, which indeed does feel everything, you know, and it's both a magical power and an intensity of your character that can be hugely advantageous, but it's also incredibly challenging when you are hurt, you know, when you are betrayed or deceived or left in pain. And so you feel it also very intensely. But the King of Cups reminds us that it swings in both directions. Your ability to feel big pain is in direct proportion to your ability to feel big joy, but you have to literally swing yourself into the light and then come back to that balanced point. You know, it's about harnessing the magic and power that's available to you, and at the moment it's just chaotic. It feels like it's all over the place and like you can't get a grip on it. And there is a strong energy as well of feeling very alone in this. We can see that all the cards that showed up are very independent, and there's this energy of feeling like ideally you want someone else to rescue you. You want someone else to come and help you and make this okay. It's like you've convinced yourself that you cannot get out of it. And it's that limiting belief, this kind of habitual ruminating and self-flagellation and self-abuse. It is self-abuse that has just compounded the problem until you've contracted more and more and more, come away from life more and more and more until you are in this solitary, lost energy. The squirrel shows up again here with the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. So that's that new portal, that new doorway that can open for you. But remember, squirrel is about doing the work. And we see that it's your mind that blocks you from trying anything, because the mind will what if, it won't believe it can work. It's so hopeless that it's in and of itself, it's become like a disabling function. You know, well, there's no point in me doing that because that's not going to help and nothing will work and I'm stuck here. It's like going round and round in circles where the mind won't let you, or it feels like the mind won't let you move in the direction you need to. Wolf shows up a lot here, and it really feels like that lone wolf energy. You know, wolves, when they get to a certain age, especially the male wolves, the reason they become lone wolves is because there may not be enough room for another alpha in the pack. And so at that stage, you know, the environment or the pack energy becomes hostile and unaccommodating. The environment is no longer roomy enough for everyone in it. And when that happens, that's when, you know, that wolf will go off to form its new pack. So we often think of a wolf as being a loner, but actually they are a creator. They're going off to create their own pack, their own unit, their own environment, to outline their own territory. And I just feel that you won't let yourself do this. It's like you are determined to stay where you are within the dysfunction that's presenting to you, and you can't see a way out. We can see here with the world in reverse that you just cannot see an ending that's going to be good for you. You don't know how to close out this cycle. So these are really tough energies for you to be in, pile 3, and I'm sending you big warm hugs. But let's get that guidance around how you can move through this. Now, I was meant to get some more oracle cards, but the story just kind of dropped in and I just flowed with it. But let's get some more cards. Right, so this is the illustrated Beastry Oracle. We've got Discover the Pattern, Broad-Winged, Katydid, some kind of like little grasshopper. It's very cute. And Red Salmon, Navigate Life with Determination. Okay, let's get some of these. This is the Sacred Forest deck. Okay, we've got Expansion, Spirit Guardian of Summer. Aspen Spirit, Courage. Hummingbird Spirit, Joy. And Air Spirit, Knowledge. Okay, we'll get some more as we continue, but let's start where we are, and some more tarot cards, please. So we've got the King of Wands. We've got the 5 of Pentacles. We've got the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. That's come out a lot in my recent readings. 5 of Swords in reverse. Okay. So pile 3, discover the pattern. You know, this is about you learning to recognize the cycles and patterns that you're actually trying to break. Some are within you, some are in your environment, some are in your relationships. But you spend so long focusing on the wrong things. And so, you know, from a practical perspective, allocate some time every day to focus on specific topics. And even if it's only 10 minutes, you know, get your notebook out, get a pen out, sit with that specific question. It might be, you know, what kind of conflict shows up in all of my relationships? You know, what challenges do I have when it comes to setting boundaries with people? Don't think about the whys. You know, don't think about blaming. Don't beat yourself up. It's not time for that. It's time for observing. It's time for discovering the pattern. Once you've discovered a pattern, then you can dig into it. Then you can say, okay, well, you know, now that I've given it some thought for a few days on the row, or maybe even weeks, however long it takes you, I'm seeing a pattern of me doing X, Y, Z, or of me getting into X, Y, Z kind of confrontations or challenges or situations. And once you know what those patterns are, that's when you can begin to tackle them. That's when you can begin to figure out the whys, the hows. But you've got to start giving yourself room to actually focus on something productive rather than staying lost in your own personal hell of cycling through things that have already happened without looking at the bigger picture. Navigate life with determination. Salmon is such a perfect animal or creature to show us this lesson because they swim upstream. I'm sure salmon came out in one of my other readings. They swim upstream. They swim against the current. Such is their determination that they defy gravity. Fish aren't meant to leap upwards. They're not in levels. They're not meant to climb. You know, salmon are incredible in that they're so determined to spawn life, so determined to do what they need to do to fulfill their purpose in living, that they go against the grain, go against the flow, you know. And so when you are in this habitual cycle of beating yourself up, thinking you're stuck, hopelessness, it can feel like impossible to get out of it because it constantly feels like you're bumping up against some barrier of resistance within yourself. Salmon is here to remind you that you can do it. Yes, you're going to have to be determined. We saw that with the 8 of Pentacles, but you have got the power to do this. Raven is also a beautiful symbol. It's about transformation. It's about recognizing our shadow aspect. You just have to be real about what's holding you back. And day by day, you've got to chip away at a bit more of it, a tiny bit at a time. Take another small step forward every day. The King of Wands is Leo energy. It's reminding you how strong your heart is. It's reminding you that so far to date, you have got through this and you are still getting through this. You might not feel on top of the world and you surely feel quite rotten, but you're still here. You're still marching. You're still getting through it. So far, you have a 100% track record of keeping going. That is strength. You know, the fact that your heart hasn't hardened and become too bitter and twisted that you're now hurting other people, that's beautiful. You know, you've just withdrawn from the world. At least your shadow isn't distorting things in other ways, you know. I mean, there's always distortions because our shadow, when it's out of control and when we're leaning into it, is going to tarnish how we express ourselves. But I do feel that your big heart is strong enough to kind of create that barrier of resistance in healthy ways to stop you lashing out. You've just internalized it all. It's you that you've abused and beaten up and projected everything at. The Five of Pentacles is also that painful feeling of rejection. Look at the dog here. Remember, it showed up there. It's a symbol of loyalty. Here it's being cared for. Here these people are walking away from it. You know, this is the energy of someone that just feels absolutely let down. And you're probably looking around you at, you know, parental figures, family connections, friends, close loved ones, perhaps the crazy relationship you had. And you're thinking, how's everyone just left me like this? You know, I've just not had any support. I've not had any empathy. I've not had any compassion. Five of Pentacles is all about feeling like you're on the outside in the cold and that no one will let you in. No one will bring you in and warm you up and fix things and heal things for you. It's a very lonely energy to be in. However, you're being reminded that no one can really do that for you. Of course, it helps to have comfort and support from others. But if you reflect honestly on your experience, you have had that in the past and it's not really changed anything for you. You've got to stop telling yourself that the reason this hasn't got better is because you haven't had enough support. Maybe in part that's true, but it's no one else's obligation to fix this. This is an inside job and there's only so much other people could do anyway, even with the greatest will in the world. That's to say, no one can love you better. You know, you have to love you better. You have to stop beating yourself up. You have to discover those patterns and let the wheel turn. And the emphasis there is on letting it, allowing it. We've got the Five of Swords in reverse as well. You know, this is about reducing conflict in your life, specifically inner conflict, and also conflict with the people around you. You know, this is a really good opportunity for you to start setting boundaries for yourself. When someone irritates me, upsets me, or hurts me, I don't have to have a battle with it every time. It's okay to just withdraw, you know, to not be party to that. That's taking responsibility for yourself, you know, not allowing yourself to be drawn into unpleasant or dysfunctional interactions. I feel like some of you are inhibited from doing that. The home energy of this looms really large. Perhaps you share space with people that you can't safely and comfortably interact with. Again, so start focusing on looking at the patterns there. You know, and ask yourself honestly, how could I have responded differently? What might have yielded a different result? Not because you want to beat yourself up and say, oh, you should have done this or you could have done that, but so you can react differently next time. You know, what would have been a more peaceful way of setting a boundary in this situation? What would have been more peaceful for me? Not peaceful for others. What would have been more peaceful for me? And so you don't have to rise to every single challenge. You don't have to give time and energy to any of these things. You need to learn how to say no. I feel like you're cajoled into a lot of circumstances and situations that don't feel good to you, and yet you'll still allow yourself to be bullied into going, attending, being present with things and people that don't feel good to you. You know, even if you have to share space, you still have to set boundaries for yourself. It's still okay as a grown adult to say, I need time, I need space. I'm not good to spend time with anyone right now. I really appreciate that you can give me that space. And you have to keep saying it. You know, it's no one else's job to respect your boundaries. It's yours. But there is a need to literally start just, I'm hearing again, break it down into small increments. You're aware of a lot of the things that you should do and could do, But the challenge is actually getting past the resistance in their mind to do them. So do tiny bits. So I'm going to do this for 3 minutes. You know, I'm hearing you want to move more. So jump on the spot for 3 minutes, run up and down the stairs, you know, go for a 3-minute speed walk or sprint. You know, just do the bare minimum of it and build on it every time. 2 minutes or 3 minutes is better than no minutes. Look at patterns for 2 minutes. Focus on breathing deeply for 2 minutes. You know, take time to care for yourself for 2 minutes. That might mean giving your teeth a really solid brush. I'm hearing self-care and self-neglect is part of your condition right now. Sometimes you can't even drag yourself out of bed to make yourself food, you know, and this all is your physical manifestation of how you feel about yourself. And, you know, I want to say you feel like you're dragging your own dead body around. You feel heavy, you feel ungainly, you feel inflexible, you feel just such a big pressure in your chest every day. Even as I'm speaking, there's a sense of urgency and panic in my chest. You need to breathe, okay? So look at breathwork classes on YouTube. I don't know if there are any. I'm assuming there must be. How to breathe. Do it for 2 minutes. Just 2 or 3 minutes. You have to start making small positive changes. Affirmation is also going to be really powerful for you, pile 3. Right, let's get some more cards. This is the Maiden Oracle. Lily of the Valley, first green. Tangle Institutions, Clematis. Root Shields, Bay Laurel. Ungiven Grin, Persimmon. Okay, and some more animals from the Illustrated Beastry deck. Delight in Daring, 5-lined Skink. And Free Your Inner Fire, Pileated Woodpecker. I'm pretty sure this has come through for all piles. We've not read these yet, so we're going to get to them next time. But let's get some of these. This is the Queen of the Moon Oracle. Attraction, Supermoon. Beginnings, New Moon. Action. And Acceptance. Okay, so I felt like a deep thud in my chest when I turned over the Acceptance card. I think that's where one of the points where you get stuck. You cannot accept what happened. You can't help thinking it should have been different. How could this person treat you like that? You simply cannot reconcile it in your mind. There's a real need. You know, we've got Ungiven Grin here as well. And persimmon is a very high value fruit. So, you know, when we say Ungiven Grin, the fact that you didn't get what you thought you needed from someone, bearing in mind a grin is a demonstration of care, isn't it? It's I'm with you, I'm present with you, I'm smiling at you. You know, the fact that you didn't get what you want from this person, this is what you have to accept. You have to recognize it was actually a gift. It was actually designed to teach you about who you really are and to finally develop healthy boundaries in your life. But you're unwilling to let it go. You just cannot accept that it's worked out the way it has. You're desperate for that person still to be able to own their role in this, to be able to... It's like you want some kind of closure. It's like you've been banging your head against this brick wall with the whys. Why did they treat me like this? The main answers you give yourself, they're in internalized self-sabotage. You know, you just, it's because I'm this, it's because I'm that. And then there's also this vengefulness, this deep hatred for the other person that they could have treated you like that. But you still can't kind of accept it. You just can't accept that this is how things are. It's not logical. It's not rational. It's just like this heavy brick. The more I talk about it, the more I feel the weight of it in my chest for you. Ungiven Grin. It was a gift that they didn't give you what you needed. You're being asked to give it to yourself. Delight in Daring. You know, this is about daring yourself to just try. If the mind keeps saying, no, it's not worth it, it's hopeless, it's not going to happen, defy it. You know, nurture that rebellious streak in you. The part of you that never used to like being told what to do. The part of you that had authority over your own mind, your own heart. You know, you have let the reins go. You can grab them back. You know what authority feels like. You know what it's like to be daring and rebellious and, you know, deliberate. And you know how to lean into that energy. You know how powerful it feels. Free your inner fire. This is about letting your light shine through, letting your heart open and register this, letting yourself feel the pain of it. When we talk about woodpecker, the message that's come through every time I've pulled this card, I swear I'm pretty sure it came out in all 3 piles so far. Woodpecker is about precision. They tap, tap, tap away at the same spot again and again and again. That's how they get progress. One tiny little chip at a time. You know, their beak against the massive ancient trunk of a strong tree. But with diligent effort, with determination, tap, 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 they finally get through. So, you know, you have to be consistent. Small steps, just the tiniest steps. You're going to see that first green. You're going to see that new beginning. Look at that energy. It's so beautiful. You know, this is about you striding forward into a completely new reality. Tangle institutions, I think, is the family unit, the programming, the dysfunction that exists around you. Remember, clematis is a climbing plant. It tangles into everything present with it. I really think that there's too much proximity. You know, everyone's all up in your business and everyone's got an opinion on who you should be, how you should be. You have no room to think for yourself and to be yourself. Everyone else is judging you and telling you who you are and telling you who you aren't. You need to break free of this. You need to ground. Bay laurel is protective. It's called root shields here. You know, protect your grounding, protect your material home and environment. Even if you have to share a home, create safe space for yourself within it. Remember, you attract what you think. 2 minutes a day, think good stuff. Just start with 2 minutes. Dare to imagine how much better things could be. You don't have to believe it at this stage. Just give yourself at least 2 minutes to pretend. You know, that fake it till you make it energy. You really have to start grasping at the magic that is available in you and keep moving with that. Just small actions all the time. Expansion is happening. If you can keep tapping away at it, come summer, you are going to see a very different state of affairs. You're going to have strengthened and transformed through this. You're going to be leaning into your truth. And we've got joy, the return of happiness, the swelling of the heart, and the learning, the knowledge, which is, you know, the foundation of this whole experience. You know, this is really time now for you to start giving yourself permission to making your way out of this dark spot in your life, to realize that it's you that's keeping you there. Open the gate, take baby steps forward. You've got to keep moving. You mustn't give up pile 3. You can definitely do this. Right, this is the Angels and Ancestors Oracle deck. Water Guardian, connect with your emotions. High Priest, intend and create. So much Magician energy here today. You know, you really are so much more powerful than you dare yourself to believe. Peacekeeper, let go of the need to be right. That's what I said. You know, before you react, will this bring me peace? Shaman, trust in higher forces. Beautiful combination of energies coming through for you there. Right, let's get some Fairy Forest cards. The Trickster, deceit, betrayal and guile. Elven touch, recovery, comeback, revival. I love this. I think we need another animal. Screech owl, get creative. Okay, and let's have some more Sacred Forest cards. Bee spirit, prosperity. Pegasus, transcending. Stag spirit, leadership. And rainbow waterfall, miracles. And let's get some charms. Okay, we want about 8. That one just fell back, so I'm going to keep it. We've got about 8. So we've got fake news. We've got living in perpetual sin. We've got the 3 fours. Ooh! It's bouncing around, isn't it? Unstable masculine energy. Okay. Moth. Spider web. I remember it all too well. I get that. It's like on repeat in your mind. You can't stop thinking about it. The pentacle and take a hike. I don't know what K and W is. You see that on the left? I don't know what that means. K and W. Someone can tell me in the comments. I don't know what that means, but take a hike. Okay. So fake news. I'm hearing this is the stories that you are telling yourself. A lot of the stories you tell yourself, and this leads back to that paranoia that came through earlier, simply aren't true. You're very receptive, you're very intuitive. Often you pick up on people's thoughts, but there is no discernment there at the moment. You know, because you're not leaning into your own truth, you can't discern the truth between your external reality either. So this has kind of destroyed your ability to trust yourself. And it means that the whole world around you and the interactions you're having just feel very, very confusing. And, you know, that paranoia runs away with you. You end up telling yourself all kinds of stories. That person hasn't replied. It must be because of this. You know, that person has said this. They must think that of me. You can't, you know, fill in between the lines. You really need to stop tricking yourself. We've got deceit, betrayal, and guile. And I think you've been betrayed and lied to so much, gaslit so much, that you're trying to kind of find the truth in your own situation again. And this is so, so very confusing. This is number 19, which suggests it also connects to childhood. You know, this is, your parents probably brought that trickster energy as well. And sometimes it's well intended. It's not, but you know, they might kid us. They might lie to us about certain things. Sometimes it feels like a white lie, but it all causes you to not trust yourself. Sometimes it still feels like a betrayal, even if it was well intended. Living in perpetual sin. This is you not forgiving yourself. Not forgiving yourself for having fallen on hard times. Not forgiving yourself for being in this rut. You know, it's okay to be where you are. Can you give yourself permission to be hurting? You know, it's not your fault. And I just think you can't believe that. You can't accept that it's not your fault. And it feels like a double-edged sword, because on the one hand, you're being asked to take responsibility for yourself, and you know that you're not. So in your mind, it's logical that it's your fault. But that's because what you're going through is tremendously difficult. And it's not that you haven't done it. It's that it's taking a bit of time. You know, it's taking some time, that's all. And you haven't wasted that time. You know, you have stretched yourself into the dark so far that that's only going to empower your capacity for joy anyway. And you have the power to keep moving through it. You know, you need to tell these shit memories to take a hike. I remember it all too well. Take a hike. You know, don't allow yourself to stay tangled in that web. The moth asks you to transform it. And the pentacle reminds you that luck is on your side. Recovery, comeback, and revival. You know, you can definitely move through this. In your future, you've got prosperity, transcending, leadership, and miracles. You know, this is beautiful. You were meant for great things, pile 3. This is just a blip. And I know it feels like it's been a real long-ass blip, that it's gone on just too long. But you are on the final stages of wrapping this up. It's you that's not letting you wrap it up now. It's you that's standing in your own way. Connect with your emotions. Again, this is one of those things you've got to give yourself just 10 minutes a day. Start with 2 if that's all you can manage. How do I really feel? And nurture those feelings. What would you say to someone you loved if they shared those feelings with you? You'd know exactly what to say, because you're a loving person. You know, you have to give yourself that love. Intend and create. You know, recognize your power to co-create the world that you want. Will it bring me peace? That's a question you need to ask yourself every single time. Let go of the need to be right. Most of these arguments, battles, and conflicts, you don't need to have them. You know, that's that chaotic masculine energy the ego leaning in that has to kind of snap back, has to say their point, has to tell the other person they're wrong or how they should be or how they should be treating you. You know, you're giving away your power. Just learn that those people won't be told, and that's okay. Trust in higher forces. The shaman is reminding you of the power that's in you, of the mystical ride you're actually on. You know, you're definitely ascending, and I know it doesn't feel like it, but we call this in the spiritual community a dark night of the soul. And if you Google that and read about that, you'll find that a dark night of the soul is, you know, almost unbearably painful. You know, people really struggle with it. Plenty languish in it a long time. But one pattern that you will find in common when you read about that is that they all sprung back in the opposite direction into the light with beautiful euphoric high. You know, so this can and will happen for you. You just have to maneuver your way through it. I really want to know more about this prior relationship, and I want to know more about what it is you think you need for closure. So I'm going to take this over to the extended. I also feel like the water guardian and connect with your emotions indicates a kind of spirit guide, perhaps someone even in your life that may be able to help you move forward. So I want to get more information about that too. I want to figure out what your sweet spot for healing and forward movement might be. We've got lots of practical guidance here, but I want to dig deeper with that and again look at that connection with the X stuff and get you some specific guidance for that too. So if this has resonated for you, you can find the link to the extended down below. But thank you for joining me here. I really hope this has helped. I'm sending you so much love, so much comfort and so much peace because you really deserve it, Pile 3. Don't forget to come and say hi at the website. It's happysouls1111.com. There's tons of classes over there that you can come and join me on, or you can book a private reading with me. I'm also on Instagram at happysouls1111. I will see you next time. Lots of love. Bye. Hello, Pile 4. Welcome to your reading. You have chosen the Wolf, the Unknown Stone, sorry about that, and the Witch's Wisdom Oracle. Today we're asking for the messages that you need the most right now. Whatever's going to be the most impactful, the most beneficial, whatever's going to help you move forward for your highest good. It might not be the messages that you think you need, but it's definitely going to be what you need right now the most urgently. So let's see what's coming through for you, Pile 4. We're going to use the Oracle decks. I'm going to use the divination charms. There will be an extended reading as always. But whilst I'm shuffling, just take a moment to breathe deep and set your intentions that you are ready and willing to receive the messages that you need the most. I have to say, I've not even drawn cards yet, but the energy here is very excited. Very exciting energies. And you can ask the universe for a sign. A sign can be anything at all. It's just an opportunity for the universe to let you know that you are seen and heard. So it could be an animal, an object, something from nature, whatever works for you. There is no right or wrong. Let's see what's coming through. Right. First card out, the Seven of Pentacles in reverse. The Nine of Wands in reverse. The Seven of Wands in reverse. 2 sevens. And the Three of Pentacles in reverse. Now you did see me shuffle and riffle shuffle. Please resist the urge to thinking that reverse cards are a bad thing. They're not. They just show us where the energies are blocked. I get a lot of comments saying, man, shuffle your cards. I'm going to say, man, you see me do it on screen. Oh dear. Do Google riffle shuffling. It's a mathematically viable way of ensuring an even distribution of reversed and upright cards. They come out as they're meant to come out. There's another reversal for you. The Devil in reverse. It's called the Journey in this deck. Nine of Wands in reverse is clarified by the Star. The Seven of Wands in reverse. Okay, 2 come out for there. That we've got the Moon. So that's interesting. So this is actually the Emperor and the Four of Swords. We're going to keep them together. This is such an incredible deck. You know what I love about tarot is how different tarot deck creators and illustrators adjust a storyline I already know so well. It's like reading my favorite book reinterpreted. The Three of Cups in reverse. Okay, Let's get some oracle cards as well for you, pile 4. I'm going to start with this one. This is the illustrated bestiary. I have to say, there's so much pride coming through for you, pile 4. You are a warrior. Oh, more wolf energy. Grey wolf. Key into wisdom with little owl. I love little owls, they're the cutest thing. Okay, angels and ascended ancestors deck. We've got stargazer, set your sights higher. I feel so excited. Medicine mother. Star ancestor. And shield maiden. Oh, such beautiful energies for you, pile 4. I want to start by focusing on this pride. I feel like your own spiritual council, your own spirit guides, they just need you to know that they are so proud of you. You are a true warrior. I feel like you have navigated such intense trauma. And what you're failing to recognize is that most people that live as you have lived, that were raised as you were raised, they struggle. It hardens their hearts. They become bitter and twisted and they shut their hearts down. You have such a pure, big, open heart. Despite everything you've been through, you are here, heart-centered, doing your best to be the best person you can be. And honestly, the swell of pride I feel in my heart. Do you know what? I feel like I know what Mozart's parents felt like when they saw him smashing out world-class music at age 4. It's that kind of big pride. It's huge. You were always meant to weather intense storms because you are a natural born teacher. We call this in the spiritual community a wounded healer. Someone that had to navigate those painful lessons so they could illuminate that path for others. And we see this wolf energy here come through very strong. You know, wolf is always about independence, fierceness of spirit. And we often perceive wolf as this creature that's a loner, and actually that's not true. They leave their pack so they can form their own. And so there's a real powerful energy of you having had to leave huge swaths of your life behind in order that you can move forward and create something more meaningful, something more aligned with who you are and with your truth. You may have often felt that you were born in the wrong family, but you weren't. You chose that family because you needed those hard lessons. And, you know, now we see that you're nurturing your own connections, that you are keying into your own wisdom, that you have grown exponentially in recent times, and your hard work is not going unrecognized. Oh, I feel so much gratitude and pride for you because you are truly living your purpose. But it's not easy right now. You know, we see a lot of blocked energies here. We've got the 7 of Pentacles in reverse, which is that feeling of frustration. It may feel like your efforts aren't paying off, that you've invested so hard and you're still not where you want to be. You can still feel yourself caught in challenging patterns. And look at this Devil card. It's called the Journey in this deck, which I absolutely love. Remember, it's number 15, which reduces to 6, the energy of love. The Devil reminds us that even toxic, ugly, messy, obsessive, addictive love is still love. And you can see this person in this valley, in this basin, and they're kind of meandering into the dark side of this. You know, the water is over here. That represents the emotional body. They're leading a white horse, but they're not riding on it. Now, white horses are symbolic of purity and freedom, and you can see that they're leading themselves into the dark, into the shadow. I feel like this represents the spiritual journey you've been on. You've been going back through all of your experiences. You've been healing that trauma at the root cause, you know, guiding your powerful heart back into those painful experiences so that you can release them and transmute them. And I just feel like at this point in time, it feels like it's really hard going for you. I can actually feel my throat waver a little bit with emotion as I say that, because it feels like a never-ending cycle for you. Like, you, no matter how hard you work, you can't quite climb out of the basin. It just feels like you always find yourself, you know, sinking back down into the shadow. And so there's such beautiful encouragement here for you to remind you that your suffering was never in vain, to remind you that the journey you're on is beautiful. Ultimately, it's a gift, even if it doesn't feel that way right now, and you mustn't give up. You know, the 9 of Wands in reverse is the energy of persistence and stamina. So when it comes up blocked, it shows us how exhausted you are. It shows us that you're like, God, you know, really, how much longer? I just want everything to be normal and okay. But what you're not considering is that in many ways it has been. When you actually compare your early life, perhaps even your young adult life, to how you're living now, you have earned yourself so much more peace, so much more stability, so much more balance. And you might not be where you think you should be or where you want to be, but you are a million miles away from where you were, pile 4. You have worked so hard. The star, this is actually the Hierophant. Number 5 is the Hierophant. It's about high learning. But here they've reinterpreted it as the star, and the star is about optimism and wishing and manifesting. And we can see that this lady is deep in this pool. She's got a salmon alongside her, which is symbolic of persistence. Think of how a salmon swims upstream. And we've got Kingfisher, that elusive but beautiful and elegant energy that swoops in and grabs what it wants. So, you know, this really represents how far your optimism has brought you, despite you being in the deep with such heavy energies. This is your trial by fire. This is what Spirit needed you to go through. This is what you chose in order that you could be shaped into something so powerfully strong. Your experience is going to lift other people. It will lift you, and it already has lifted you, but you must recognize that, you know, it was never in vain. The 7 of Wands in reverse shows us that one of the driving forces behind this was lack of boundaries. You were victimized as a child, and consequently you allowed people to victimize you as an adult. You spent the last few years creating healthy boundaries, learning how to live in that strength of heart. You've got Wolf energy again here with Emperor energy, that energy of leading, dominion, power, control. And here we see that you've emerged from the water with a partner. You're howling into the night, tapping into your intuition. These are water irises. And we see otters as well in the water here. Water iris represent also growing in damp, dark conditions. They grow at the edges of the lake, usually in the shade. And, you know, that reminds us that we have to be in the shallows with our muddy emotions all the time in order to grow, in order to bloom, in order to be our best selves. Otter is about work. Yours has all been emotional work. You have a heightened state of emotional intelligence, and I know that's incredibly painful. It's both a blessing and a curse. You feel it all, and that gives you a greater capacity for joy, but it also means that life sometimes rides roughshod over you, but you are learning to have those healthy boundaries. You are learning to tame the inner beast, to, you know, continue strengthening your heart. In the face of all this adversity, you have been a true warrior. We've got the 4 of Swords here. This is about healing. Here we see 4 Scots pine alone on a hill. This looks like 1111 to me as well. We normally see that symbol in the 4 of Wands, but you know, your healing has been centered around a spiritual connection or journey, and we can see that represented here again, even with the Emperor here again with nurture connections. We've got the same with the 3 of Pentacles here. So, you know, undoubtedly you have been thrust onto this journey by the introduction of a divine counterpart into your life that has led you onto this path of healing. It's led you onto this path of purpose, and you are still growing in that light. You've got to give yourself permission to be a student. Pile 4. You command so much of yourself. You know, you're not giving yourself credit for what you've achieved, how far you've come, and the fact, as I said earlier, that your heart is intact, that your heart is powerful and strong despite everything that you face. That is testament to what an incredible, magical, heart-centered person you are. You don't need that help. I know that you think you do. I know that you're yearning for, you know, that perfect family unit and people that will support you. You're yearning for this idea that there will always be someone there to help you, and that that's the most natural thing to need and want in the world. And you'd be right. It is. Human beings existed so long because they formed communities, they nurtured connections, and they looked out for one another. But when we feel like we can't exist comfortably without that, that's where this devil energy comes in. That's where this, you know, codependence or anxious attachment. You're either independent or you're codependent. The balanced state in the middle would be interdependent. And interdependent is, I love having community and support, but I'm powerful enough within myself to cope without it when I don't have access to it. And we must remember that we can't always have access to it, because everyone is on their own individual journey. And with the greatest will in the world, no one can be there for you all the time. As an adult, it's your responsibility to be there for you. That's what you're learning. And so you are being asked to forgive those that couldn't cooperate, those that couldn't be there. You're being reminded that you had to be rejected and turned away, so you were forced to turn back towards yourself. And it's about releasing some of the regret and frustration that you feel around that. You know, if you weren't born into the family where, if you didn't have the experiences you had, you wouldn't be as heart-centered and pure as you are now. And I know it's very hard to reconcile that others couldn't show up for you, but you're being asked to recognize that that was entirely to do with their limitations and nothing at all to do with the quality of their love for you. Love isn't necessarily a doing word. It's an energy. It's a feeling. Unconditional love just is. It's self-fulfilling. And, you know, you may not have felt unconditionally loved at all because you haven't been raised by people who knew how to hold that energy. But they did have love for you in their hearts, even though it was distorted love, even though it was messy love. You know, you were always loved. And so I feel that you're very sensitive to rejection. You're very prone to assuming people's intent when they let you down. You know, they don't care about me. They should have been here. I would have done it for them. And that's easy to say because you would have been there for them. You know, you would abandon yourself and your needs to help other people. That's the kind of person you are. But that isn't a healthy boundary. It's okay to say no. It's okay to feel like you can't show up for anyone. We all deserve to be able to have that space. We may not all know how to ask for it kindly. And I think the people around you, you know, they've never been able to just say, hey, I don't know how to be there for you right now. I'm struggling. I'm not there for myself. You know, they were probably just assholes to you. But they did love you, you know. So this feeling of no one's there for me, no one can help me, you know, no one's really been consistently loyal and loving in my life. This is who you're asked by the universe to be for yourself. This is what this journey is teaching you. Again, it doesn't mean you shouldn't have support. It doesn't mean that you won't need it sometimes or want it. It means that you have to forgive yourself and others when it's not available. Because our feelings, our experiences, no one else's responsibility but our own. It's a fair expectation to have reciprocity in relationships. But we must understand that, again, we can't always guarantee that for someone because people go through their own things. And it's okay, as I said, to take space for yourself. It's okay to be struggling. Everyone struggles. And the people that you wish were there for you didn't know how to be there for themselves. That part feels heavy. It's a lot for you to swallow. I know how much it hurts you. And I feel that in particular, your person, this divine counterpart, hasn't been there. They didn't know how to be, even though you were there for them and showed up for them in deep and meaningful and consistent ways. And so that tug of rejection is, it's heavy. It's heavy on my heart. But this is what you're learning. You're learning to heal independently. And I'm seeing the bald eagle up here just on that tree. The one that has this broader perspective. Eagles are representative of that divine connection between the heavens and the earth, that broader perspective. They're spiritual messengers. And I really feel like you're being reminded that as you ascend and grow, you're going to see the world in ways which other people can't. And that is often painful. It's lonely. You know, you spend a lot of your time trying to convince others how to be better people, but telling isn't selling. You can't fix anyone else, especially not when it's unsolicited. Your power is going to be better applied when you have an invitation in the role of a therapist, a counselor, some other service where you're helping other people. But when you're trying to drag your loved ones into the light, you're being asked to accept that maybe that's not their path, and even if it was, they have to set their own foot onto it. You can lead by example, and maybe they'll be inspired by your movement. But every time you're trying to drill it into them how they should be, how they could be, what you're actually demonstrating is non-acceptance of who they are. What you're actually saying to them is, you're not good enough, and I can't love you unless you behave like this. And so that needs to be rephrased and reframed in your life. It's okay to say, your behaviors are detrimental to me right now, and I love you, but I can't be around you. And this is why I struggle with it. That's stating your feelings. That's stating a healthy boundary, but it's still loving them. That's unconditional love. Conditional love is, I can't love you, I hate you because you're all of these things. And so you can see how anger does twist the heart. And your heart is open more than most. And I understand that you have experienced people whose hearts are so distorted that they have behaved in the most vile and atrocious ways. You don't have to accept that. It's okay to create a healthy boundary. But when you hold that hatred in your heart, that's what leads you into that basin of shadow. That's what leads you away from your heart, even though you're trying to drag that purity and innocence with you. Keeping your heart open and vulnerable when you have experienced this kind of trauma and rejection is no easy task. I understand. There's so many of us on this journey that understand, but it is your strength. This is what you're being asked to lean into. This is the journey of unconditional love that we're learning. Unconditional love doesn't mean betraying yourself. It doesn't mean showing up for people that can't show up for you. It doesn't mean putting yourself in situations that are painful, uncomfortable, or traumatic. Unconditional love means even when you're not here, because maybe I can't trust you to be here with me, I can still hold love in my heart for you. And I can accept and understand that your inability to love me in the way I needed was actually nothing to do with me, and everything to do with your path and what you're going through and what you're still learning. You wouldn't show up to school as a high school kid and start shouting at the kindergarten kids for not having learned to count properly yet. You give them permission to be where they're at on their journey. You wouldn't be like, listen, you've got to be like this, and you've got to learn that, and you've got to be more like this. I can't love you unless you're on par with me. That's probably a really crap analogy, but do you understand what I mean? You have to start recognizing that the people around you, they're just not as evolved as you. They're trying their hardest. And sometimes it's okay for you to feel that their hardest sucks balls and that it doesn't align with your values and the way you want to live. But it's not their fault. They're stuck in their own shadow. They've had similar experiences to you perhaps, but their heart wasn't evolved and as strong to be able to cope with it in the way you have. And that's why we judge people sometimes. You'll hear people say things, oh God, look at that person that did something terrible. Well, I grew up in crap circumstances, but I didn't start doing that. I didn't become the villain. Why can't they not be the villain? It's so easy to judge others. But everyone's working from their own ability, their own state of evolution, and actually the way you judge others is a representation of how harshly you judge yourself, because you really are full of self-loathing and you don't give yourself permission to recognize what an incredible person you are. I think deep down, your heart is pure and good, but you also eat yourself alive, and your self-esteem is sometimes on the floor. And it's truly unwarranted. You are beautiful inside and out, powerful. But that self-loathing, that self-abuse, it is projected outwards when you sink into your shadow, especially towards the people that you're angry with and that hurt you. And no one's saying you shouldn't be angry. Angry is a very valid emotion. It's the part of you that loves you and knows that you deserved better. But to dwell in it, to stay in it, that's distorted love. And the love in you is big enough to supersede everything you think you need from outside of yourself. We've got 2 star cards here. Stargazer and Star Ancestor. And I really think this is why you struggle so much in this world. You probably haven't been on earth many times in recent lifetimes. I feel like you are from somewhere else, somewhere more evolved, somewhere more soulful, somewhere where people haven't lost that connection to their intuitive power. And so being born into this world is very uncomfortable for you. And I do think this is why a lot of these energies were reversed as well. This is a very earthy deck, and I feel that you struggle to be grounded. And that's why this is showed up as trees, Scott Pines, grounding yourself, that 1111, you know, bringing that awakening, evolved, galactic, starseedy energy into your present reality, grounding it here so that it can benefit the all. You know, the downside of that is it meant you were born with a hypersensitive emotional body, because that's what intuition is. It's felt through the emotional self. But you can't have that intuition without also feeling it all. And the depth of your pain, you know, has been really intense. But you are here to heal others. By healing yourself, you know, you are actually grounding this new loving paradigm in the world. You know, the world is waking up. It needs more people like you. Honor your inner knowing. Trust that just by being present here, growing and evolving, you are medicine. You are medicine for everybody. Make plans and focus. You know, we talked about you being a warrior. This person is ready for battle. They've got their sword, which represents truth. They've got their shield, which represents that healthy boundary. And oh my God, I've never noticed this on here before. So I've seen a necklace like this on, where have I seen it? I've seen it in like a meditation or vision on the neck of like some kind of goddess at Avebury Henge, Glastonbury, Stonehenge. It's a powerful symbol of intuition. Look, we see it show up again here. And these are two different decks, even though they complement each other so beautifully. We see the 1111 stripes on her forehead and her arm. You know, this is someone that's here to do battle with the old paradigm of distorted, toxic love. Someone here who has this higher perspective, can see further into the quantum field, into that universal, infinite knowing and wisdom. Key into it. You know, this is what you're here to do. As you learn and grow for yourself, powerful, you are literally uplifting all of humanity. These are such beautiful energies. Let's get some more. I'm going to get some of these cards. This is the Queen of the Moon Oracle. I'm going to have a slurp of my coffee, actually. I realised I've literally talked non-stop. Such is getting into your flow. Whew, I can actually feel my throat chakra aching. Okay. First quarter moon assessing number 9. And waning gibbous moon, will, number 13. Let's get another animal. Andalusian horse, transcend yourself. What a beautiful image. But bear in mind, again, different deck. The white horse showed up here in the devil in reverse. Okay, I'm going to get some of these cards. This is the Maiden Oracle. Okay, we've got reconceive, dogwood. We've got the Wheel of Fortune, right in the shadow of the 1010 portal as well. That's number 10. Remember dreams, breadseed poppy. And moonlit blooms, sunlit roots. Oh, I love that. Calendula. Calendula is one of my favourite plants to grow. I think you should grow some in your garden or in a pot pile for. They grow so easily and so quickly, and they're just like pure sunshine. Okay, this is the Fairy Forest deck. Let me show you the box. I don't think we've had one of these yet. Got a lovely foresty autumn theme today. I hope you're enjoying it. All right. The Green Man, initiative, fertilization, action. The Merciful One, compassion, release, and relief. Queen of the Darkwood Elves, promotion, premonition, foreshadowing, and mystery. The Mabon, shining hope and future. Beautiful. And let's get some of these. This is the Sacred Forest Oracle. Moonlight, enchantment, magic, more wolf energy showing up there for you, pile 4. Ancient oak spirit, strength. Maple spirit, generosity. Guardians of the land, protection. Interesting to me that these 2 cards came up together, you know, both about protection, make plans and focus. And so I really feel like, you know, now we've covered where you've come from, what you're going through, what your struggles are. What we're seeing here is the guidance. We're seeing, you know, that telescope that we saw here with Stargazer. And she's on this hot air balloon. She's looking up at the moon. 9 is Hermit energy. It's about the power of self, assessing. This is about observing the bigger picture. We've already tapped into that, but you're really being reminded of that inner power to do exactly that. You can always see above that worldly view, you know, and I know that's lonely. I know it's lonely when you are the one with that broader perspective, and maybe not everyone can relate, but don't allow this to stop you from transcending. You know, there are 2 directions you can move in. You can move to the shadow, you can move into the light, or you can face your true north and bring it all into balance. This is what you're being asked to do. Now, this is a drum, so it's a shamanic drum. You can see the beater here. Shamanic drumming is a very literal, practical tip for you there. You know, it literally balances your physical body. It lulls you into a trance state. It's a very active form of meditation, and it's a very shamanic, very earthy meditation. And so I really think this is going to help you stay grounded, especially if you can do this in nature. You need to align your will with your purpose. Take off the mask and blindfold. Look, we see that crescent moon again. This is death energy, number 13. You know, this is about your rebirth. It's about releasing the old and allowing yourself to truly embody the new. Reconceive. You know, this is about seeing your current life in a different light. When we lean into acceptance and that state of surrender, when we allow ourselves to just be having the experience we're having, that's where we find the greatest peace. That's where the wheel turns. You've got transformation here symbolized as that butterfly with the wheel of fortune, which is a very auspicious energy. You know, the universe is reminding you that I know you don't feel it, but you are truly blessed. You are sowing the seeds of the future. You know, you are bringing into being a new way of living, unconditional love. That's what you're here to ground. And when you allow yourself to lean in to that potential, you are going to feel it for yourself. And this we have moonlit blooms and sunlit roots. This is reminding you, you know, to lean into the intuition and your grounding. Sun, moon, light, dark, bringing it all into balance. And remember what I said about calendula. Easiest flowers to grow, tons of healing health benefits, will self-sow, easy. You know, if you've grown some, they will come back again and again. You can even get a couple of flushes of them in one season. They're absolutely beautiful. I think they're actually edible as well. Calendula tea is pretty intense, but I definitely think you need that in your life just to help ground you. There's something about it enhancing your light body as well. The green man, initiative, fertilization and action. Now we had the emperor there as well. Remember, this is about leadership, dominion, control. This is about you harnessing the power that's available to you and allowing it to grow, to be fertile. But you have to take steps towards it now. The merciful one. This is about forgiveness, compassion, release, relief. You know, when you start letting all these people that hurt you off the hook, when you start telling yourself a new story, you know, rather than, oh, they must hate me, I'm so unloved, you know, I'm so unworthy, their inability to love me in the way I need is, you know, I'm taking it so personally. Once you can get above that, you're going to feel so much better. Letting go of anger, releasing the pain of the past is just incredibly beautiful. You're being asked to elevate yourself above it. You've been in the dark long enough. Premonition, foreshadowing and mystery. Look, we see that she's got these butterfly wings, that powerful symbol of transformation. Everything grows in the dark. You were meant to be in it. It's what you chose. But look at this, shining hope and future. You know, the future is bright and you are ready for it. You've just got a small climb to go. You have got so much magic in your bones, pile 4. Look at this full moon here. So we had this wolf here, you know, and we see that river flowing behind it, that leaning away from the emotional self, howling at an invisible moon there as a group. But here we see it in its full glory, howling at the full moon. The Scots pine showing up again there in the background. That's interesting. You know, lean into your magic. I think moon magic is going to be particularly potent for you. If you haven't already, you need to lean into the occult sciences, because you will remember that wisdom. You know, it's already part of your psyche. And actually, you know, the occult greats of the human race, at least of our earthly reality, Dion Fortune, Edgar Cayce, Aleister Crowley, even though he was, you know, he was dark. There's tons of them. When you start going down that rabbit hole, you'll find all these different occult academics that wrote about this stuff. It will help you reignite that awareness of magical ritual and practices. And I'm hearing that you've operated in a very 5D way because you're from that starseed energy. But magical ritual is about grounding it here in the present. That's the magic of earthly living, that we work with these elemental forces. So you do need to combine the two. Not just 5D energy, but 3D energy. Again, the drum, physical action, bringing that energy in a physical way is really indicated. And the more you study, the more you will remember. You know, for every page you read, you'll download 10 more. It's tapping into that energy that you already know. And that's why we've got this ancient oak spirit here. You know, oak trees, they've been around the block for generations. They are big and strong. Their roots reach so deeply into our earth center, and that's why they are that symbol of strength. You know, Scots pine in contrast grow tall very, very quickly. And I really feel like you're kind of being asked to transform very swiftly. Most people come to earth and they have multiple lifetimes to ascend, but I feel like you've been doing that work somewhere else, and so you've really been thrown in at the deep end coming here. It's not an easy place to be. It's not easy to feel pain in a physical way, you know, but it is one of the gifts of being alive here, and it hasn't marred your generosity of spirit. You know, you have so much warmth, you have so much light and love inside you. This is why you were chosen. This is why you applied for the job. Powerful. You do have this high purpose, and you are protected. I know you don't feel like you are. We can feel that oak energy there coming through. And the magical mushrooms, again, symbolic of growth in the dark and the magic that's born of that. You are going to go on to beautiful, great things. So let's have a look at that. I want to, before we go, we've got lots of guidance here. I want some more practical guidance and a little peek at what's next before we take it over to the extended. I feel like we need to dig in to this relationship as well. I don't know if we'll have time for that here, but we'll definitely go into that in the extended. But I want to get some more practical guidance and a little sneak peek about what's coming, just to uplift, just to help you feel a bit better, to help you feel motivated again, because it feels like you've fallen off the wagon recently. You've gotten tired, you know, you're wondering, is it all worth it? The broad-winged katydid, which is of course the kind of grasshopper, or it might be a locust. Maybe they're the same thing, I don't know. We've got acorns in the background. Discover the pattern. And steady on, common tortoise. Again, I've got that rushing energy. Okay, guidance and what's next. We're going to draw from the tarot deck again. So we've got 8 of Swords, eagle energy. We've got the 2 of Pentacles in reverse, bear energy. We've got the Goddess of Earth, which is the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. And we've got the 10 offerings. So that's a Wheel of Fortune in reverse. That's interesting because we've had that energy out already. Right, sneak peek at what's next. The 9 of Swords. You see a beehive there. The 5 of Swords in reverse. Again, I can feel my heart rushing. The 6 of Cups. And the Knight of Cups. Okay. So guidance, pile 4, discover the pattern. this energy of feeling like you're not quite getting anywhere, this energy of feeling like you're going round in circles. You know, these seeds, oak trees are slow to grow, and you can see here with the tortoise home on its back. Remember what we said about finding home in your own heart, but steady on. You know, you've got to learn to let the universe dictate the flow and pace. You know, this idea that you should be further along, that you should be doing something better, that it should be easier by now. This is what keeps you stuck in a state of resistance. Tread softly, go easy, be patient, pile 4. It's only the limitations of your own mind that keep you back. And look at this, I think these are calendula flowers that dried and starting to release their seeds. Remember, eagle has a higher perspective. It's above the mountain. It's connected to heavens and earth. When you lean into your higher self, you release all those programmed limiting beliefs of the mind that keep you stuck in frustration and impatience and annoyance. You know, change might be slow for you. But look at this, we see the bear hibernating here. Why are you resisting this? You've got to trust that you will be in this cocoon for as long as it requires for you to transform. Stop trying to put a fixed timeline on it. Stop trying to, you know, make it a race. There is no race. You know, this is about allowing yourself to be fully grounded in it. And I'm just noticing another beehive here in this Queen of Pentacles, the energy of collective or community that reaches up into that portal. This is such an interesting card. I'm going to turn it back around because there's boobies in it, and YouTube restricted my last video for boobies. I mean, I'd be really stunned, right? But you never know. So the Queen of Pentacles in reverse is about not feeling that you can nurture and mother yourself. It's about remembering that you do have the power to do so. And that's actually the solution. That's what's going to bring you into balance. That's what's going to allow the wheel to turn. That's what's going to replant you and nurture new, powerful growth. This is such a beautiful energy. I love how your spirit guides are kind of lovingly watching over you in this deck. And the little sparrow, or is that a finch or a nuthatch? I can't quite tell. So, you know, this is about you recognizing that everything has happened is a beautiful gift. Just pour yourself into it. Stop resisting it. In terms of what's coming, the fact that we had 8 of Swords here for guidance and then we've seen the 9 is so beautiful. I know the 9 of Swords is often associated with stress, anxiety, sleepless nights, but look what we're seeing here. A completely different energy. We're seeing a hive, and we're seeing a collective of bees working for the greater good, gathering the pollen despite the prickly nature of this plant. You know, this is about community. This is about the power of self adding to the greater good, doing the hard work, recognizing that it adds up to something big and empowering. It's a progression of that energy. If you allow yourself to get above the drama, above the trauma, and just see the bigger picture, you know, you can fluidly slide into that mission work, that purpose work that's going to allow you to feel so valued and allow you to trust that you are living your gift and your blessings. We've got the 5 of Swords in reverse, which is an end of conflict. And I want to say it comes over this card, the merciful one, and I feel such sweet relief with this card. And we've got little owl there as well. Look at that, that came up for you. One of the first cards we had, the exact same bird. These are different decks. Little owl, tapping into your own wisdom. We've got the 6 of Cups. This is the energy of reunion. And here we see, I think this is a cormorant, diving in and grabbing the fish. You know, grabbing the nourishment it needs. This is a reunion with self. This is I want to say, coming into peace with self. It's a soulmate energy as well. It did come up over that 1111 card, that healing card of 4 of Swords. But I feel like it reminds you that this journey for you is about self-fulfillment as much as it is about connectivity. We do have the Knight of Cups here. And this is a beautiful, balanced Knight of Cups. You know, the salmon shows up again here, but we see such a balanced state here with that person holding that bowl still. Despite the charge of the ocean around it, it's like, no, I'm good. I can hold my own emotions. I've got enough, you know, my cup is filled and I can fill it myself. It's also an offering. You know, so this can also indicate a romantic offering coming through. You don't need to worry about love. Love is going to take care of itself when you nurture it within you. Everything is going to be all right, part 4. You've got to keep going. I really hope this was helpful. I'm sending you big, big love and the warmest hugs. Thanking you so much for joining me here today. I'm going to take this over to the extended now. I'm going to go deep with the guidance. I want to find more about this divine counterpart, get some more guidance around that and the messages you need. So if you want to join me over there, the link for the extended is always down below. But thank you again for being here. Thank you for hitting the like button. Thank you for subscribing and your beautiful comments. Don't forget to come and check out my website at happysouls1111.com. You can book readings and classes and other cool stuff with me over there. And you can also find me on Instagram at happysouls1111. See you next time. Bye.